drinking water that
Oh,
was
there you go.
dead set on murdering their thirsts and recycling their souls.
Are we running? It should be up.
You can keep going though.
Did I press something?
No, we're already good to go.
Press this.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's on.
It's
Let's
on.
share the shit out of
Sammy
this.
has a point though. Maybe you
Once
should,
cracked open, lad, no thirst is safe from liquid death. After ritually dismembering its
spaced out or
thirst
what?
victims, this brutal
a
kind
little
of
bit.
water
You want to move a little
sever
more?
body
Let's-
Yeah,
parts.
you can get in
Up
here.
their thirst to build itself a
All
flesh
right.
suit.
Let's see. We live.
They took my family.
They took my family,
They
lad.
took my family,
And
and
my
I
luck-
took their souls.
Don't mess with me, Lucky
What is this, Conor
Charms.
McGregor? Or what the fuck is this?
Yes.
Right now, we're all playing
Oi.
If you're gonna fight with me, we're gonna
Oi,
fight
lad.
now.
Oi.
Let's fight.
Let's fucking fight. Yeah, dude, hit the fucking song.
Let's do it.
Aliens on the border.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found. Faster than light, spaceship of the future.
By direction of the President of the United States, stay in your home.
Is it human or inhuman? Earthly or unearthly?
Born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust, there is no word to describe them.
We may be witnesses to a biblical prophecy come true.
Why is it that we usually ignore the fourth dimension?
Is this the human race of the future?
Aliens on the border.
Ooh wee.
Just go with the ooh.
Have I ever told you how much I like that theme, dude? Like, that's a dope theme.
Thank you.
I like
You made
that.
it kind.
Did you make that?
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, man. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like I was coming out for like a boxing match.
I can't take all the credit though. My brother and I made it together. But it's yeah, man. Funny story that I've told a million times. But
sorry. It's dope. If this is content that's already happened, I'm sorry.
No, not
cool,
even.
cool intro, bro.
I'm saying it
That
to
was
myself because
rude,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come off as rude. I'm saying it to myself just because I feel like I
for the 100th time, me and my brother made it.
It's like the story about the duende. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
You want to hear the story? But
Well, it's Dopey McDoperson. I liked it. Thanks.
I like that you like it, and if you guys haven't been able to tell by now, we have a very special guest in the house today. I don't have the rim shot on.
I don't know what
It's
For the
there's
100th
an
time.
applause. That's for the 100th time.
Keep it going forever.
COVID, man. COVID.
you know what?
Get him out of here.
Man, what did it come to?
Call
Damn.
the police. Call the police.
You know what happened earlier was
Yeah.
that we were ready. Yeah, kind of. We were ready for a meeting, and I was sitting down with Josh, and Josh is newly endorsed with this CBD pen. And I took
This is my CBD ad. Are you ready?
too big of a hit, and it burned my throat.
Oh, man. Careful,
it was
guys.
awful.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Though some of that resin is strong.
Yeah, and
From what I
it's-
hear.
From what
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's what we like to throw around here. And if you guys haven't guessed by now, our guest today for this episode is the one, the only, Mr. Sammy the House
Hi.
Ramirez.
Is that the camera? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's the camera.
itty bitty, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. Itty bitty.
And it has some close-ups too. You can do.
It's
You
a
can get
bit
in
too
tight.
spider.
Went up the water spout. And
Hey,
this-
if you guys are tuning in on Facebook, make sure you
Share this with your friends.
Share this with your friends.
Text
post
your
it.
ex.
Text your ex.
Text your ex and tell her that Aliens on the Border is live and she should be watching.
Let
Look,
them know.
this is why it didn't work because you didn't watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If she
be
were
more
a fan,
supportive.
Yeah, if she were a fan, maybe she would. You guys would still be together. But
Right. Yeah.
or he
Well, we
or
could-
she, your ex.
As
I
always.
tried, woman.
No, and in any case, right? So today's guest, Mr. Sammy the House, dude, it's crazy having you on here because, like, a huge part of me growing up was listening to the birthday song and wanting to shoot myself on the way to school. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's why I don't do it anymore.
I'm kidding.
Dude, it's
not
like
a-
he came
like,
on for
I
Josh
was
to just
listening-
insult him for 2
I never
minutes
got my
straight
birthday
already.
song.
I never got.
I was only mad because nobody ever shouted me out.
That's what it is.
To
That's
be
what it
fair.
is. That's
You
fine.
know, there's
To be
recordings
fair.
online. I actually shared it today. Someone's
my
like, bro,
God.
this guy that I'm vouching for him. He's a rapper, and like this whole time I've been like setting him up with people and to talk to because I believe in what he's doing, and I'm a big supporter of him. And he's like, hey, you rap, and I'm like, oh yeah, man. And he's like, you mean you rap? And I'm like, yeah, I have. And he had no idea.
Bro, a hip to the hop to the happy birthday, my guy.
Man,
Come on.
classic.
You've been waiting to do that since you asked me to come on here.
For real, dude.
100%.
I've been listening to your voice since like KNEX, dude.
He's had this in the pocket for weeks.
Dude, I was just telling him a little while ago too. My earliest like memory of like the mall, I think, was going to what was like a contest that was running like right in front of where Macy's is at now. And
Shout out Foley's.
Called Center Court.
yeah, right. Yeah, so you had this whole like setup, and I was like, this is the first time I see who the voice is. It's
You were
crazy.
super disappointed.
No,
oh man.
I was
go to our
disappointed-
high school.
I was disappointed my mom didn't win any money because I wanted to go to like Disney World or whatever the fuck. But I
Sorry,
remember
bro.
that's okay, dude. Next time. So then
I'm also a big part of people's disappointments in their youth. Like
Apparently, right?
Apparently, right?
Me never getting my shout out for my birthday.
Nah.
you hold it very near and dear to you, huh?
No, it was literally like the morning show on my drive to school all the time. Like I there was really nothing else to listen to at that time.
Yeah.
Like from being in elementary school and middle school.
Thanks.
Not like
I had no
I
choice.
just realized that I'm shitting on you. I don't mean it in that
I
way.
had no choice.
No, there was a
You
point
were
like
all I could
before,
listen to.
like before iPods and all that stuff. Like
Right,
we
like,
would
we had
listen
the
to
radio.
like the radio.
Yeah.
What-
And
the-
as far as I'm concerned, like I can't name you any other host, dude, other than
Exactly,
Sammy in
that's
the
what I was
House
gonna
and
get
like
to.
Howard Stern. Like, right,
Wow,
like,
man.
100%.
dude, like, other than that, I don't know any
That's
other
cool.
radio hosts, and that's no disrespect to all the radio hosts that
Yeah.
are doing it. But even when he switched on to like Coffee and Magic, man, like I was like, oh, Sammy in the House, and like now I do 107.3 if anything
Yeah.
at all, you know. But I mean, it's awesome, man.
I
Also
didn't mean
just,
it
you
as
know,
You're like a
we-
local legend, man. You're like inscribed into like Laredo. Radio.
We have Picasso behind the.
Yeah.
the super villain voice
super
behind the
villain
camera.
Welcome.
Give
The narrator.
pet my cat or whatever.
I
Today
bet you
I'm
guys are
Irish
wondering how
lad.
I got here. He's the
I
narrator.
know, right?
Little did he know.
Yeah.
Little did they know.
So I mean, I don't want to go into like the cookie cutter stuff. I want to add like just like the basic questions that we ask everybody because I mean
Well, I'll give you something juicy right here, right now, and it's not to give you guys a hard time, but you're not not the first people that have said that to me, and it started. I'll tell you when it started, but every time you guys say that to me, you make me feel extremely old.
No,
No,
and I know you guys aren't. That's not your intention. But every time it's like, man, I remember growing up with you, and it's like, some guy came up to me once, and he was like, my mom used to take me to school, and she used to be real sad, and I used to make her listen to you, and she would laugh. And I'm like, how old are you? He's like 5. and he's at the bar having a beer with me, and it's like,
yeah, that's what
I
was
get that.
weird for me too because I feel like I like there was a point I think where I just like stopped listening to radio.
Yeah.
I mean like as much as I could listen to it I would, but most of the time if I was listening to the radio it's because the aux port in my car was not working or something. And but then like the online stuff started happening and I started listening to a lot of stuff through the app. And I first ran into you again at the open mics that were happening at AJ's.
Yeah.
And that was to me, I was like, holy shit, like this is a guy that I listened to every day on the way to school, like even as far back as I can remember. So but I don't want to say that.
Let me backtrack for a second and finish my statement, which wasn't a
totally
disparaging statement
I'm sorry,
at all.
But no,
It's
I know,
okay,
guys.
okay.
It's because it's different on this side of the table. Like, so, and no, I'm not expecting any of you guys to understand what it's like. But look, dude, this should give you a clue. It's 30 years, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what were you guys?
I was born in
right
1992.
Yeah,
Dude, I was
so-
born a
I
year
was
later.
93.
So you know what I mean? Like, you were a baby, and I was.
No way, man.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Like
What-
so I made this. I brought you this mug because these mugs got made to commemorate this year
beautiful, man.
in June.
Get a tight shot right here,
It's my 30 years.
In June, I wasn't even born.
Yeah, bro.
Damn,
so,
dude,
that's
so
nuts.
June 1992, I finally turned on the microphone and I started talking. Like, so I was there for about a year before, I believe. But I was just doing like pre-recorded shows and stuff. And so, so just to prove that I'm not that old, I was 12 when I started.
What?
Yeah, I was 12.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a different
Let me
time.
make
man.
sure we got this right here, dude. That's fucking intense and really fucking dope. Oh, okay, yeah, we need to fix that.
I got it.
Shot. All right, cool.
Okay, that's fine.
No, so what I was saying was not that it was the only thing to listen to,
Yeah.
but it was the best morning show that was out there. That's what I was getting at.
Thank you.
Ultimately, Because you could tune into
What a
like
save.
other random ass
What a save.
stations that were just like Cochina Joe or whatever the fuck, like doing random ass shit.
Cochina Joe. I'm
Green,
gonna
what the
create
fuck?
that persona. He doesn't exist. Who's Cochina Joe? Don't you worry about it.
Hey, wait a minute. You were Carmen, dude?
No, I'm not.
No.
Oh, okay. I was tripping out.
So
But that's a segment you
I
do.
actually knew there's misconception.
This
though.
has never been recorded on a podcast, but no,
Now it is.
I am not Carmen. Carmen is a gentleman from another radio station,
Oh, okay,
and then
okay. And you host
So
it.
what happens is he would record the segments, and it was syndicated. So when you have a good segment or show or a piece of maybe content for radio,
Yeah.
so you can sell it to different media agencies, and so they market it for you, and it was syndication. So just so everybody knows, I'm not Carmen. It was a syndicated segment. It came with a sponsorship and stuff. So there was money being exchanged for that. It was a barter kind of system, but Carmen was not me. It was a syndicated segment.
Damn.
You could do
Awesome.
a killer
But
I can
Carmen.
do the voice.
You can do
you
a
can do
killer
the-
Carmen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been practicing voices all my life. That's why I started off they took my family. You know,
Oi.
yeah.
Shrek and shit up in here, dude. No, but dude,
I really want a hot dog real bad.
listening to you kind of gave me like before podcasting and everything, just gave me the inspiration of like I want to be on the radio and like throw on songs that I like too or whatever. Because I'm all dumb as a kid, I didn't understand like
It's not always songs that we like.
exactly. Like, I didn't know all of that, and then
Yeah.
I started realizing that after 106 went from like being KNEX to like whatever hot 106.1 or
Well,
whatever.
KNEX is call letters, so that's the legal. So any radio station, regardless if they're called Power or Next or Hot or Classics, there's always that KNEX is the call letters,
sign
the
or
call
whatever.
letters. It's a legal thing, but yeah, like I understand.
You know what I'm saying,
Formats
right?
change all the time. The
Right,
station that I'm
right.
on just recently changed formats, and we're doing more of like classic 70s, 80s, 90s. And so you change the names, but it's always the same, or it's usually the same call letter and
What-
frequency.
Here's a good question that I thought of that I've been wanting to ask. What has it been like for you to see the transition from, radio dominated, like people driving and they're listening to the radio to now, like they have like this digital format with podcasting and stuff?
Okay, most, I hate to say this out loud, but most corporate radio stations, they're run by consultants, and the consultants they're not in every market, so it's always different, right? But like, for instance, let's say, they're not always, the consultants will tell you, you got to do this, 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 and this, and this. And it's like, they think it's the coolest thing because it worked in another market, but it's not always the coolest thing here. So what'll happen is they'll consult something. And so you can lose listeners. Like you said, like there's Spotify and there's podcasts and there's all this stuff. And so what you have to do is you have to do a little bit more personal interaction with your listeners. You have to get to know people. You have to, be aware of what the crowd likes, know who your target audience is and stuff like that, as opposed to, and not to insult podcasts, but podcasts have a one niche audience. You guys are, we're going to talk about cats, or we're going to talk about horticulture, and it's a cat cast, and we're going to talk about cats and cats and cats. And so like not everybody wants to hear that. And everybody has a podcast now. So it's like you can't listen to every podcast. So that is sort of the benefit that still lingers on radio, which we have to, I guess, monopolize on, is the fact that sometimes, you know what, I don't feel like turning on the aux. I don't feel like turning on the Bluetooth. I don't feel like listening to this podcast.
boom.
It's real easy. Turn it on, and there we are. You press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and and we're already giving you content. We're playing good music. We have to play spots because got to pay the bills, right? Is that what you said, Picasso?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Roger.
But yeah. But it's convenient in the fact that it's free. You don't have to charge us. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to put us in the card charger. We're ready to go. So we are aware of the fact that we compete with other things like that too. But that's where you keep it compelling.
Have you ventured off into like the digital media space?
So when I was between working at 106 and now at 107.3, I did a couple of podcasts. I have them on my SoundCloud somewhere there. And so, yeah, I've done some podcasts. The only thing was I could never figure out how to connect it because there was a whole bunch of weird stuff because there's a bunch of accounts connected to it that I couldn't put it on Spotify back in the day. And so I focus more on the radio show that I'm doing now. And so I kind of let go of the podcast, especially because there's so many podcasts, really good podcasts. And it's like, I don't have all this equipment really just for me to just take anywhere. So I would work with one of those Zoom recorders and I would just record people, and it was convenient, and I would go back and edit it at home. but I don't have all this equipment where we can do a live thing and stuff like that. No, I've never done that, but it was just I didn't want to compete with all these podcasts. And, I mean, I'm sure one day, like if I'm not at the radio, but I wanted to focus on the radio. So.
And what's the state of like radio now? Like I feel like I feel kind of out of touch on there because I feel like I mean, again, I can't tell you the last time. I'll go on and like maybe like if I'm interested in like listening to like, hey, what's currently playing now, that kind of stuff, then I'll do that, right? I'll log in on like my phone or something. But what would you say is kind of like the state of it now?
It's funny. I follow this. I'm friends with a couple of radio. They call them jocks, radio jocks from across the country, and I've got friends that are now just doing straight up streaming on a personal channel where they're just doing internet radio. I've got friends that do syndication. I've got friends that works at a border station in San Diego. Shout out to Xavier. Javier the X-Man. He does an oldies show on Sunday nights, and he does syndication with that. And I keep in touch with him. And the thing is, we all agree that all these jocks that have been in here been doing it for a long time, we all agree that like corporate is kind of killing it. I don't know if you realize that iHeart had bought a bunch of stations, and all of a sudden iHeart lost a bunch of stations because they went bankrupt or whatever. They're just, you make weird decisions. Like for instance, they have something called voice tracking now. So some radio stations have no DJs, and they have this one voice that records voice tracks.
Oh, I've seen
that, from all across the country. And so it'll be like, for instance, if I was a professional voice tracker for iHeart, I would be like, hey, Sammy the House, San Diego, good morning. Hey, what's up? It's Sammy the House, New York. How you doing? Hey, Sammy the House, what's up, Boise? You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
And so they record all these voice tracks, and it's always the same generic content that they're busting out in all these voice tracks. So it becomes just kind of like Muzak, just a elevator radio. And it shouldn't be like that, but it is. But again, like I said, you need to be more connected. You need radio DJs to be connected to the people. For the people that go out to the malls and give out prizes and contests, you need to see that voice that plays your music every day and say hi to you. They're there for the fundraisers as well. They're there to support the fundraisers. They're there to talk about a cause. They're there to say hi to the kids, and the kids are like, I hear you on the radio, and it's like, oh, cool. And they have their hero or whatever. Right. So I feel that all radio should have local presence and people out there. It just with radio across the country, it's not happening that much anymore.
That's how does that make you feel? I feel like hearing that kind of makes you feel a little like disheartened.
It's I don't know, man. Like I'm lucky enough to be doing what I'm doing, and shout out to the Cuellar family who run the station where I'm at. They've been doing it for 50 years. They have a bunch of stations on the Mexican side, Stereo 91, and they got a bunch of great stations. And I'm lucky that I'm working with a local company, what they used to call mom and pop radio stations, and these mom and pop radio stations don't have to deal with corporate. So I'm just happy and enjoying the moment. I don't, when you say get disheartened, I've learned a lot recently. I like to read a lot, and I like to read a lot about stoicism, and so I'm happy right now, and this is all I have. There is no past and there is no future. I mean, I'm glad that you guys would listen when you were kids, but you probably don't listen anymore, and you're probably not excited to wake up in the mornings, right? I'm sure you guys sleep late now. I'm still doing my morning show. Yeah. But the thing is, it's there. So what you felt when you were a kid, you don't feel it anymore, and that's fine. I gotta worry about what people are feeling now. There's bus drivers right now that wake up and listen to the whole show. This kid contacted me on Instagram, and he's like, my bus driver listens to you for 2 hours in the morning. So I gotta worry about him. Yeah. I'm not worried about, are you disheartened about what's happening with radio? I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
I think it wasn't necessarily like a hey, you should feel that. Like it's not, it's definitely. I mean, even through podcasting, like it took us 3 years to get to start making some money off of it, right? And even still, like even before that, like even when money wasn't even like a factor, we had to go through like some sort of like hiatus too. Like we were off the air for like 6 months.
Yeah. And you're twiddling your thumbs, and you're like, what's gonna happen? And that's how I was like when I went from 106 to 107. Like there was about half a year where I wasn't working. So there's times in my life where I get disheartened. But this is another thing I learned. Even if I told you I got disheartened, I don't want to tell you that because I don't like to complain because I have more blessings than curses. So I'll stick to that. I think everyone should just be appreciative of where they're at in life. And if they're not appreciative of that, just move a little harder, but worry about today. Don't worry about what happened in the past.
That's a good.
Right on.
That's a good view to take on it. I believe.
Very good.
And that brought me to a question that you made me forget. God damn it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I talk a lot. I ramble, guys. I'm so sorry.
No.
That was. I wanted
Yeah.
to get more into depth of like the whole transition between 106 to 107, and now that you're working for. I guess it's safe to say this, right? Like 106 is a little bit one of those that is kind of like corporately run now, right?
I don't exactly know what the management, who the management is right now at the moment. I know that they're a great radio station.
They got some good songs.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what the management is doing over there.
My question was,
yes,
working with 107 now, that is more like own mom and pop radio station. Is it like do you have more control over the content that you can put into your morning show?
At times, right now that we're in the middle in moving on to a new format, so there's a little bit more control to make sure that the format is delivered the right way. So it's not so much that I don't have control at the moment. It's more that we're just making sure that we're doing things by the book correctly as much as possible. But I do work for a very cool people that have been doing radio for a long time, and they recognize that I know that I also have my experience.
Yeah,
so they're like,
so
they're like, go ahead, Sam, and they don't. I'm not on a leash, but I'm also respectful of what we're doing. So but it would probably be a little bit easier doing what I'm doing here than at a corporate radio station. Corporate radio station, like, you got 60 seconds to talk, and you got to make sure you say the sponsor and say this, and don't talk about, and there's a lot of don't talk about that. Sure. And there's
a
like
lot of Brunos involved.
Yeah, like there's stuff like that here, but it's not as, there's not so many restrictions.
Right on.
That's great. Just like as a content creator, like in the digital platform of it, I know that like one of the biggest things for both of us, I think, is safe to say, is that we want to have complete control over whatever it is, like the content that we're putting out.
Well, that's the good thing about podcasts, that you guys can cuss, and you guys can say a bunch of bad words, and you can cough on the mic and stuff like that.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, dude. But this is your show. You can do that. Back in the day, look.
Fuck, bitch. Fuck.
Yeah, back in the day. So this is cool. I started before radio was automated, so I would play CDs and I would play vinyl, and I would.
You're like literally DJing.
Yeah. I would record music on a reel-to-reel tape, not a cassette, like a big reel-to-reel, those things you've seen in the movies from the 70s. So I used to record phone calls on that, and so I used to do. I don't know if you guys even are familiar with this. What was called Graveyard, right? And there was DJs on the air from midnight to 6 in the morning. So
Late Night Love.
Yeah, so this is even after Late Night Love. I would get there at midnight and and I was in the studio till 6 in the morning, and you could pretty much. You shouldn't do whatever you want, but you could. So there was a lot of, you could still kind of do whatever you wanted. I would smoke in the studio. I used to smoke cigarettes, and so I would smoke in the studio. And then one day my engineer walks in, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm doing my shift. I'm doing my shift.
I'm doing my job.
I was like, you want to hear a song? And he's like, what are you doing smoking? And I'm like, there's ashes gonna be in the equipment. I'm like, okay. So
we have a question actually. It says, how much control in music selection is yours? Like 106.1 still playing stuff from 2000.
So it's a format. So let me explain formats to you guys. So
I was about to ask actually.
So let's say, when you would go to the school in the morning, right? And you would listen. How long would it take to get to your house to school?
So maybe like around 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So 15 minutes from your house to the school, right? And you got to hear content, and you got to hear music. Right. And then so someone who's not in middle school will go to high school, and they're going to be on their way to school. So let's say you have a big brother in high school, or you've got a neighbor in high school. They're going to probably take about 10-15 minutes to get to the school also. So in the 10-15 minute increments, they got to make sure that they're playing a hit. So if Taylor Swift is top of the pops right now, you're going to hear it on your 15 minutes to school. An hour later, when your neighbor that goes to high school is going to go to school, they got to hear some hits. So they're going to probably hear one of those hits, Taylor. Ariana Grande, Rihanna, Wheezy, and they're gonna have to hear a hit. The point is to always be playing a hit. Now, some of those songs that you hear from back in the day, they're called recurring. So what they do is they sound familiar. This is the great thing about radio is that you turn it on and you're gonna always hear your jam. If it's a good format, you're gonna always hear your jam. Now, somebody that's next to you probably doesn't love the Humpty Dance, but you love the Humpty Dance. So that person's like, man, they're still playing the Humpty Dance, and you're like, oh man, they're playing the Humpty Dance. Like, it's not. It's to try to get the whole population to hear a familiar song and a hit song, and to keep you from saying, oh man, what are they playing? Let me change the radio station. When I first started in radio, they told me, it's not what you're playing. It's not what you're not playing. It's what you are playing. I was like, it's because we're not playing this and we're not playing this. And I was a little gangster wannabe when I was in 8th grade, right? And I was like, we're not playing NWA. We're not playing Cypress Hill. We're not playing Dr. Dre. We're not playing Snoop. And it's like, they're like, Sam, nobody wants to hear that. I'm like, all my friends want to hear that. But the majority of the people could care less about that. And even if they did like it, you go with the safe hits. So you play that Ariana Grande from 4 years ago. You play that Wheezy from 4 years ago. And then you play the new Taylor Swift. And then you play, the new Maroon 5. And it's like, oh, okay, I like this. I'm not going to change the radio station. But you throw a kink in the system. You throw a wrench in the system. And then you play, hey, Sammy says we should play this weird Snoop Dogg B-side. So you put it on and like Sam and his crew is like, yeah. But everyone else is like, what the hell is this? And they'll change it. Guess what happens when we change it? The other radio stations in town might be playing a really good song, right? And so they'll keep it there. We don't want to lose the listeners.
So, like, if there's similar formats, then is that what creates the whole thing where I feel like I've listened to the same song on each station, like when I change from one station?
If it's a similar format, yeah. If you go to San Antonio, there's a bunch of stations that are similar format, right? Like there's two hip hop stations, and there's two like old school stations, and so you'll hear the same thing because they're trying to keep the same listeners. They're all fighting for the same listeners, and this isn't a secret. It's just stuff that people don't really think about, and I don't mind saying it because it's just a formula that everybody uses. Like you try to keep the people happy. So right now, the format that we're playing classic hits, and they're all really good hits and stuff that you're like, oh, I remember that song, or oh, my mom used to listen to that song, or and it's like, I like this. Crank it up. Keep it there. Don't move. We'll be right back. Stick around. Commercials. Sponsors sponsors pay for that. We come back and we play another hit, and some people are like, oh, they're always playing the same music. That's the point.
It's not like you don't play the same 10 songs on your phone.
We're not trying. We're
not.
Yeah.
Bro, I've been
listening.
I've been listening to Obstacle One for Interpol like daily.
So exactly, and you like it. You like it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get everybody's songs. You like that one, then you like this one, then you like that one. Well, then we're gonna get all those songs.
The fucking craziest radio station that we've ever.
Where's Nirvana? Give me some Nirvana, baby.
So that's another reason why they stick to a format.
Right.
So people used to call me and be like, hey, why don't you play this song? And it was a totally different format. I'm like, well, does McDonald's sell tacos? And they're like, no. And they're like, it's because you guys need to play, you need to play this super Spanish urban ghetto song. And it's like, it's a cool song, but
here's Despacito.
That's not, but that's not what we play. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the format. So
I guess kind of like leading into that, just that question, I get to know Sammy a little more. What you've been in for 30 years now, right?
I technically started in 1991, but I turned on the microphone in 1992.
In that time, what has been like your favorite? Like, I don't know. I know maybe it's kind of hard to zero in on like a year, but like, what was your favorite time of like playing music? Like, what music really stuck with you?
Late 90s was cool.
Late
90s was really, really cool. There was some really cool stuff. Summers were awesome. Like summers where everybody just wanted to go to the pool and hook up, or go to the house parties and hook up, or go to somebody's house and hook up, and so there was a lot of cool hookup music. Like there was, and I hate to say that, but it's true. Like the 90s had when they always say 90s R&B.
Ooh, okay.
You know how I mean? Like, they don't ever say 2000s R&B or the knots R&B. They talk about 90s R&B, and 90s R&B was like Knocking the Boots and like I Want to Get Freaky with You, and like there's a whole bunch of like songs that I'm like, wow, I can't believe we were playing that. I was like, everyone would get triggered if we played that now.
vulgar.
Yeah, seriously, right now, like it was,
canceled.
you know, the Me Too movement would not allow 90s R&B right now. And so it was a lot of just cool R&B. There was a lot of cool club jams. There was always a lot of bangers. And now hip hop is not so many bangers. It's more like just everything's just trap, you know. And everyone's on lean and whatever. They're like,
money, bitch.
yeah, you know. And so,
Go, dude. Go on.
Whenever
That's
Drake
all I
just
do every
sprinkles some
weekend.
vocals on somebody's trap song.
seriously, and then you could get any trap beat right now and just make a hit. I swear to you, we can make a hit right now. Just be like, 30 years, 30
Don't
years,
tempt us.
30 years,
Don't
30
tempt
years.
us. We can pull something up on that Bluetooth real quick.
30 years, 30 years, 30 years.
Somebody
30
just
years
tell
on the mic.
Yeah. Like mom and pop radio.
So I know
What
you
if
mentioned-
we made a trap version of the Happy Birthday song?
Oh man, it's been done. Just so you know.
What? I haven't
Your
heard that.
booty.
Give me a trap beat and I'll just do it live. I don't care.
We're doing it live.
2 Chainz has a trap birthday song.
Play the intro. Let me see. I think that had a good beat to it.
Intro. All right, here we go.
Hold on.
Aliens on the border.
The Army Air Forces has
That's
announced
kind of
that a flying
trappy.
disc has
I mean, there's a stripped down version without all the movie quotes. That's probably
You have
better.
that one?
We don't have it on cue. You can probably cue it up on yours, but
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. That
I was about to go out. Never mind.
we probably could.
Threw me off, bro. Cut me off.
Freestyle live.
What you doing? This is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Happy birthday to you and
You and
Happy birthday.
I need some more lean in there.
yo, Sam.
liquid death.
So
What's up, homie?
I'm sure you have like a wide array of music you like, right?
I do.
Except
I
country?
love,
Nah,
no,
no,
I
no,
like
I'm
it.
joking,
Oh,
I'm
man,
joking, I'm
Willie,
joking, I'm joking.
Put on
But-
some Willie.
Yeah, you got them things.
Dude,
I know, right?
put on
But
Wichita Lineman. Y'all ever heard that song?
No, sir.
It's the saddest country song in the world.
damn.
It's about a
That's what I don't like about country, because most of them are like super like damn tristes.
bro, but it's a good song. It's a man
Tristeza,
song. It's a
okay. It's one of
hardworking.
them ones.
It's a hardworking man
Yeah.
song that Love skipped out on him because he was working too hard.
But if you had to pick like one genre, like what's your favorite genre? Cumbia? Nah, neta?
Yeah, dude.
No, for real?
Yeah, like Colombiana cumbia, like
Oh,
Andres
you
Landeros.
you
You know
like
who Andres
dancing?
Landeros is?
No,
Andres
I-
Landero is like the godfather of Colombia, like cumbia colombiana.
like
wow.
acordeon
Yeah,
up in this bitch and all
dude,
that.
you need to look up Andres Landero.
Right on.
That's you, instant party.
Damn.
You turn on anything by Andres Landero, instant party.
that sounds-
I swear.
So this dude said he said it twice because I know he wants us to fucking read it now.
Oh, no.
But he goes, Laredo needs a pure rock station.
Oh
And
yes,
then it
yes,
says-
yes. Lauro, I agree
it
with
says,
you.
would he vote for an all rock station?
Would I vote?
Agreed.
You know what?
But-
I used to work for. We used to be when I used to work for. Well, I don't know what the company's called now, but 106 94.9 was our.
yeah, that's true.
So we had a rock station. The thing is, Laredo's got, and right now they shout out to the rock stations. There's what the Blitz, and then there's the there's a couple of like I guess small radio stations, but they're rock. And the thing is this, like. I love rock. I grew up on Headbangers Ball. Whoever knows what Headbangers Ball is, I grew up on Headbangers Ball.
Shout out on TV.
I would read Hit Parader. I would get Circus. So if you know what Hit Parader and Circus and Headbangers Ball is, I'm being legit. I like rock music. I grew up on like hair metal and
There's
like
not a market
yeah, and classic rock. The thing is, you just said it. There's not a market. Every time there's a concert. A rock concert. We had Stone Temple Pilots at the arena.
And no one gave a shit.
And the thing is, you couldn't even have house it.
Nope.
So that's the thing. Everyone that wants rock radio station, you're right. We need a rock radio station. You're not wrong, but you guys don't support the sponsors. You don't buy the concert tickets. You don't go to the venues that play rock music. Rock is just you want to hear rock, but you don't want to support the business behind rock. Like there's in San Antonio, there's places that will only play rock in their venue, and people will go to those places because they're a rock pizza place, because they're a rock ice cream shop. You know what I mean? So like they go and they have a big community of people that support the businesses that support rock music. So these radio stations, these radio stations, shout out to Star and shout out to the Blitz and everybody out there. They're cool rock stations. But nobody, there's not enough sponsorship, and when there is a business, you guys don't support it. I was part of a rock station, and there was not enough sponsors.
It's kind of
the
like,
ratings weren't great.
I don't mean to
It's
cut
all
you
about
off.
Andres Landeros in Laredo, bro.
Did you find Andres Sandero?
You're right.
It's a party, bro. Let the beat hit. Dude. And that's a slow one. Wait till you play a fast one, dude.
You can like tweak the tempo on it and make a track.
Play La
song out of
Pava
that.
con. You know what? Play Andres Landero La Pava con Gona, and I swear everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, here we go."
Don't play it for more than 15 seconds.
We're
you're gonna get us cut, dude. Yeah,
You're gonna get us yoinked.
Don't yoink it.
Anyway, so yeah, man, I'm down for rock. You know, I'm totally down for rock, but
It's kind of like I was gonna say, like the same thing that we usually see here, like in like businesses. Every we're not far from It Street. Like every bar or club that opens up with like a very like a very niche theme that they want, right?
Yeah.
And then they always devolve, or not devolve, but they always just go back to being a reggaeton or that kind of bar. So it's like even Cold Brew's a rock bar, and you go up there sometimes and it's like not rock.
yeah, well, the thing is, but so watch this. If you see the reggaeton shows at the arena, and you see the
Sold out.
or the regional Mexican or the corridos and stuff like that, when they play at the arena, those things get sold out.
Yeah.
This is. Listen, so whoever's out there and wondering why don't we have a rock station? When there's a rock concert, do you fill it up like the reggaeton concerts?
Puro grupo firme.
Bro, if you want a rock station, go to patreon.com/aotbcast and subscribe to our Patreon.
So you guys are obviously you're heavy rock and you support a rock podcast.
Dude. And do it, and support us.
I fill up shows for like local rock, right? Like our local bands.
That counts.
Problem solved, lad.
Like I know Cultura does a lot of cool stuff with like local rock bands. Go to those shows, man.
Yeah.
Go to those shows. I mean, I don't get to go out to the Cultura as often as I can, but for instance, there's a show tonight, right? If I'm not mistaken, a friend of my co-hosts, my co-host's daughter is friends with. I think they're called Deaf Pugs. They're a bunch of kids doing rock. If you want rock, go support those kids, man. Like, go check out the shows.
This Friday, there's a show by, I forgot the name of the band, and the openers are Dos Leones at the Ghost House.
I love Dos Leones. I did the birthday song with them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I saw that. It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We did the birthday song for the city of Laredo that was celebrating their.
Oh shit, that's fucking true.
Their 265th year.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like their 956 year.
Dear city.
Damn.
Nobody better than I. Yeah, it's just saying.
Boom.
Yeah.
We actually got another question here from a viewer.
Yeah.
This was interesting.
Yeah. So he's asking, is it worth the risk throwing on a hit song that cusses a lot because they're gonna get beeped out?
You know what? I grew up in a place where I grew up in radio, to where we actually got in trouble for something once, and you can get fined. I have let things slip on the air before, which I shouldn't have. Me personally, I would rather avoid the risk. For that one cuss word in the song, it's really not worth it.
Wait, so you bleep them out yourself?
No, so what we do is radio stations usually get radio edits, radio friendly versions, and so they'll edit them out themselves, right? I don't think it's worth it because when FCC does decide to, you know what, we're going to give you a fine, it's a big fine. Like you could shut down a radio station with these fines. So I don't think it's worth it. If you really want to if you really need to hear the cuss word, go check it out somewhere else. Go buy the album. You know what I mean? Download the album, whatever.
All right. And
we'll be right back.
That brings us to some bills that we gotta fucking pay.
That's not the official ad intro. I thought about it a little bit, and then Sammy really shot it down because it's an old timey thing.
Oh,
I like it though.
Dude.
I still like it.
No, it's okay.
You gotta understand. Okay. I've been doing this for 30 years.
You would know much more than I would.
I'm sorry,
right? But hey, we're
broke again.
We're
broke again.
I remembered.
Yeah.
We're about to do an ad read in front of Sammy the House, and it's not going to be professional. So,
but it will be.
But check this out.
All right, so this episode of Aliens on the Border is brought to you by Por Vida Tattoos. Go check them out at porvidacs.com. They've been tattooing Laredo since it was born 256 years ago. I'm going to get a whole sleeve tattooed
live.
Yeah, live on there, and it's going to be great. If you want to have more information on how to book, where it's at, where it's located, porvidacs.com. Shout out to
Gabe.
Borrila. And shout out to Gabe.
Shout out to Gabe.
Follow him also on Instagram at Borrila Tattoos.
Also, don't forget to check out Consafos Print Co. at the same time. It's another little venture from Gabe as well and his wife, Brenda. Shout out, Brenda. And they have an event coming up, actually, in San Antonio. I'm pulling that info up now because Josh just closed it for me. Thanks, dude.
You're welcome.
But they're going to be in San Antonio at the Comadres in the city on March 20th at Brick. Go and check that out. They're going to have a little booth set up. Station, so they're going to be selling their really cool Cupid shirts. Go and make sure you check that out. And
they have really cool shirts.
They really do. I'm wearing
Gabe,
one right now.
They don't have my size, but I'm working on it, Gabe. And Gabe's like, no, man, we don't carry that size. Like, sorry, Gabe.
So check out consafosprintco.com for their current selection of items. If they just released some new stickers and some new buttons as well, so they're really cool to go.
And some new designs that are hopefully going on some dope T-shirts. Also, their Instagram got hacked. So if you were following their old one, make sure you follow the new one.
Yeah.
It's at CS Printco on Instagram. And that leads us finally to Por Vida International Tattoo Fest. It's the 5th annual Por Vida International Tattoo Fest this year, April 22nd through April 24th. Go to porvidattattoofest.com for more information on how you can get tickets. If you're interested in getting a booth or anything, make sure you follow up on that website. Contact Gabe, and I think that's everything.
Hey, patreon.com at aotbcast.
Oh,
if you want to be a
yeah,
supporter
yeah.
of the podcast. Shout out
For
to our
sure.
2 supporters, Ernie
And Isaac. Yeah, we love you.
Love you guys.
Yeah, there you go. That was a sheesh.
And make sure you listen to Coffee and Magic every morning on 107.3.
Yeah, of
Every
course.
morning.
Throw the plugs.
Yeah, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
107.3.
Yeah, classic hits the way you like it.
How was that, Sammy? How was that?
Well, you guys, look, you guys did really great. It's a podcast, man. You guys did perfect.
All right, cool, perfect.
Here's
that's a 10. Give us your money. Give us all of your money.
I will give you one tip. This is what I learned. Less is more. Less is more. So, when it comes to especially advertising, get to the point. What's the benefit of me buying this? Okay, tell me what to buy. So,
dude, some on-air tips.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're gonna redo the entire ad read again. So they're gonna have to pay us double for this.
Consapos Tattoo Fest. You're gonna see cool tattoos. Get your tickets today.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. So I wanted to jump into this earlier, or I wanted to mention it earlier because it's very it's every time I think Sammy the House, I think about this one time.
Every time you start asking a question, it sounds like you're up to no good. You're like, you know what? I was gonna
Well,
ask it this one time.
Because
that
it kind
type of
of
person?
maybe it is.
Like
dude,
it's like vengeance. That's a vengeful question. Is
I
like,
just okay. Let me say it.
what were you doing last night?
They're different. Hey, Sammy, remember this time?
I'm sorry, dude. That's not what I meant.
I'm playing around. No, so I said it because I was thinking about this. Every time I think about Sammy the House, I think about this one time on the air where I was so confused and it was very mysterious that you had banned Kanye from being played at the station.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I distinctly remember there being a rumor of that being why your time on air at that station ended.
What?
So okay,
is that true, or was that like a stunt?
So okay.
Conspiracy.
Kanye can do no wrong.
That's a conspiracy with a K in the front, bro.
Let this man
Sorry.
talk.
So no, it's fine. So what happened was that kind of was okay. So. Kanye was just being Kanye,
Yeah.
Kanye's every decade. Kanye's Kanye.
Yeah.
So back then, Kanye was being Kanye, and I was like, you know what, dude? Like on my old show, when we were, we try to keep it a no Kardashian zone. We don't like talking about the Kardashians. They've already got enough clout. I don't need to talk about them anymore. It's more like back now, I'll just be like, I'm just not going to talk about them. I'm not going to use my power. I'm not going to use my voice to talk about the Kardashians. So back then, I was like, you know what? Not only am I not going to talk about Kanye, I'm going to not play his music because he's just being a jerk, right? Like
What time was this around? What
Is
is
this the Taylor Swift?
It's about, because of Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like when he just totally like Taylor Swift, who granted she's herself, she's not as bad as Kanye, and she was up there grabbing an award. And granted, it's just an MTV award, right? Like it's not even. There's no awards right now that are worth anything. Like I have friends that have won Grammys. I have friends that have won Grammys, and they're like, no big deal. Really.
I won 3 Grammys myself last year.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's not the same. Like it's the Grammys used to be something. The Oscars used to. I don't know if the Oscars. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything. But so. She's up there, and even though it's just an MTV award, she's still like happy to get an award, right? Like anybody would be happy to be recognized on MTV. You know, granted, if it's now you don't even play music anymore, they're giving her an award, right? And she's up there, and she's like all excited, and then all of a sudden here comes Kanye, and it's like, nah, you know what, Beyonce.
Yeah.
Beyonce had the best video.
Yeah, like okay, Taylor, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce, and it's like. How do you finish after that? Like, you know, Roger, you just won an award for like best car washer, and it's like, oh, and it's like, nah, you know what, man? Like,
congratulations, Roger.
Best comedian in Laredo or something.
Nah, dude,
car washer.
Hit up Roger now to get your fucking car washed. A1,
but that's not even the point. The point is he's about to like, oh, cool. I got recognized for my car washer, and then all of a sudden,
Kanye West comes out.
Josh comes out. He's like, no, you know what? Like, I'm gonna let you finish.
Picasso watched the best car.
It's gotta be Kanye though. It's gotta be Kanye, bro.
Waxes and vacuums like there's no tomorrow. All right, go ahead, Roger. Finish your speech. Like what?
Oh,
you guys can wash your car, my house.
So to finish the answer to the story, my boss's boss, the boss of like the market manager comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I think what Kanye did was wrong." And he's like, "And who are you to say what's going to happen and what's going to play and what's not going to play?" And so, like he literally, like he gave it to me on the air, and I'm like, "Yo, dog, like
it was live."
Yeah, it was live,
Oh,
and I'm like, hey, boss, like, I mean, I'm being me, I'm giving content, I'm being compelling, and he's like, I don't care, you don't.
The hot take.
Yeah, he's like, you don't just do that,
He's
and I'm
about
like,
Kanye, bro.
and I even told him like on the air, I'm like, yo, I got kids, man, like, what are you doing over Kanye? Like, he's like, well, you know what? If they so then it turned into like, well, let's see. And so I used it to my advantage, and I said, hey man, like guys, I wanted my listeners or the listeners that because I knew we have what's called P1s. That's priority one listener. Those people that are like they check in every morning, they say hi to you wherever you are. Like like, hey, what's up, Ruben? Like who your listeners are. I wanted to see if I had enough P1s to like kind of save my job because my boss was really mad. I was trying to, be compelling by canceling Kanye on my show. Then the boss walks in and he's like, "What are you doing? Like this wasn't planned," and it wasn't. A lot of times I've done things off the cuff, and because sometimes that's the way to do it,
For sure.
Because if I think the phrase in Spanish is "es mejor pedir perdón que permiso."
Yeah, better to
ask permission.
So I did it, and he got mad, and it almost blew up in my face, and like. Enough people, and there was a lot of people that were texting and like, nah, fire him, you know what I mean? Like, get rid of the dude. So yeah, like I'm very aware that people don't like me, and I'm aware that people love me. And the thing is, luckily for me in my life, I've been blessed with more people that love me than hate me, and the people that do hate me, I don't think I'm worth enough for them to come at me.
Right,
I'm not worth it to them. So, which is great. Good for you. I'm really not worth it. But what I'm saying, is like, it was starting as a stunt, and then it got me in trouble. And so I needed my listeners to say, don't fire him.
I never heard about that.
Yeah, it was.
It was the one. I mean, I guess one thing that I just remember very distinctly because it was like everybody was talking about it at school, and I was like,
but it was close, just so you know.
It was close.
I vaguely remember hearing about this. What was out at this time? My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? Is that what was out?
I don't know, but the guy must have been bumping the shit out of it, and he's like, man.
How you not gonna? You ain't got no fucking Yeezy.
When you said my Dark Twisted Fantasy, I'm like Coheed and Cambria. Why am I talking about Coheed and Cambria? I already sounded like a Coheed and Cambria album.
Yeah, no, right? So sonically, where do you stand with Kanye? Do you agree with his music?
Because it's funny because now that he's
sonically, I love it.
It's funny that you say that now because I mean, like, if we're talking about like that stunt then. Holy shit! What about now? Like, imagine if you were still on the air.
Yeah,
I'm
like not that you aren't on the air, but like if you
were,
like you have like if you were to pull,
what do you know, Roger? What do you know?
If you were to have pulled that now, I mean, like you think it'd be received better? Like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah, dude, that guy's trying to see his
No,
kids. We
I don't
want
think
that.
I don't think there was any wrong in saying what he said. Like I
Roger
think the
does
way it was
not
handled
want-
was pretty whack. The guy could have
Yeah.
just been like it doesn't matter what you say. Like
Yeah.
I think the guy could have handled it better. Like off air, like, hey bro, you can't do that, and then just keep playing Kanye. Okay, that was the whole thing.
But but technically, I would. So what I did then was I gave him more clout than he really should have.
Yeah.
So when Kanye does something that I don't like now, it's more like, I'm not. This real estate doesn't belong to you, and you can't come on this property.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is older Sammy. You know what I mean? This is the
that guy.
Yeah, like let's just chill, man. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like if Kanye doesn't want to hang with us, well, you don't have to come to the party, bro. We're gonna have tacos. See you later. You know, it's like that. It's not like, hey, get the hell out of my room. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna go beat somebody up. You know, and so that's my attitude now.
Josh is a very big Kanye stan. Big stan. Big Kanye.
So he asked me. So let me answer your question. Where am I at with Kanye sonically?
Sonically, what does that even mean?
Like his music.
Like,
bro.
which
How
which,
fast?
Which,
How fast can you say?
Sonic. How fast are you next to Sonic?
Did you get the answer?
How fast you run a 40 next to Sonic?
You want to see me run around the world? You want to see me do it again?
Hedgehologically, I like. I think it's 808s and Heartbreaks.
Okay.
And I like Love Lockdown. I really like Love Lockdown. I like the simplicity and the darkness of it. So it's a very simple song, and it's just a drum beat, but it's very dark and it's very like it's an ominous song. And I love how it's just that one drum beat, like and then like a little piano, a couple of notes on the piano. Yeah, and that one bass, the bass riff. It's perfect. It's a super simple song. 3 musicians could perform it live while he sang, right? And I love the simplicity of that song. I also like I kind of like Gold Digger, but it got old. So I like old school Kanye. I like The Wire. Through the Wire.
Through the Wire, yeah. I like the old Kanye.
I've never heard a whole album.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn, that's intense. That's intense.
My beautiful Dark Twisted
Fantasy
is I think
one
like
of the
one
best
of the best
albums of all
yeah.
time.
Is that the one with Bound 2?
No,
yes,
that's the one
isn't
with
it at the very end.
Yeezus.
Oh no, Bound to is
That's
Pablo.
Yeezus.
That's Pablo.
Yeezus.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
It's Yeezus.
He's right. Sorry, yeah,
All right,
believe
he's
Josh,
very
believe
matter-
Josh, believe Josh.
Very,
yeah.
very
Believe
matter
in
of
me,
fact.
dude.
Bound?
Look,
No.
show him your tattoo you got on
No,
your ass,
bro.
dude.
No,
Kanye.
No, bro.
I like
Oh
Bound.
my
I like
God.
Bound 2. Bound 2.
Bound 2
Bound
is
2.
part of Jesus, bro.
I like the
it's the
how
brand
it's
of Yeezus.
confusing.
Let's look at Roger's face when he finds out that
Hey,
I'm right.
hey, Sam, I got a question, man.
Yes, sir.
Am I tripping, or did I get Mandela affected, or was it ever Sammy in the house, or has it always been Sammy
No,
the House?
it's always
Sammy
been
the
Sammy the
House.
House.
So this
Ramirez.
Oh shit! Hold on.
this is one. No, this
like
is
the
one.
Bernstein Bears shit, bro.
No. That's one of my. That's one of my.
You don't like it?
There's gifts and curses. That's one of my curses where like people are like, "Hey, it's Sammy in the house," and I'm like, "No,
not
it's
Sammy
not."
in the house.
Yeah. And so when people say it now, it's because it's real mamon for me to be like, "No, dude, it's Sammy the house." You know.
That's why I am.
Yeah, and
It's
so
Mr. The House, not
Yeah.
Mr.
So
in the
there's
House.
never been a segment of Sammy in the House. I guess it's just
No.
been a bunch of malintroductions. Or
yeah,
something.
there's a lot of people.
That's
out
the
there-
title of
yeah,
this
yeah,
episode.
Yeah, I mean,
Sammy in the House. Oh, well, that makes sense though.
it's 30 years and people will still see me like at the jalapeno and be like, "Yeah, Sammy in the house," and it's like, okay,
Don't
man.
talk to me.
Oh no! you see that's where connecting with the listener it comes into play. Like, I could very easily ruin somebody like who's super happy to see me and be like, "Hey, it's Sammy in the house." Be like, "That's not my name."
Oh, shit.
You know?
Dude, I would be
Say-
super
yeah, I'll be like,
chopped,
say it right,
bro.
bro.
Like,
And it's like,
straight
no,
up.
man, like, hey, thanks for knowing who I am a little bit. You know what I mean?
Kind
Like, thanks for kind of getting my name right.
You
Can I have a
tried.
hug? Let's take a selfie together. And so, yeah, you know, but,
Where
sorry.
did the name come from?
This one's super, it's a super long story, but I'll try to make it fast. There was
Sonic Fest.
Sonically.
and there it was.
All of a sudden, I was The House, dude.
Yeah. There was a friend of mine, shout out to Cesar, and Cesar used to, what he would do is he would ghetto airbrush things, right? Like he figured out how to airbrush it without having an airbrush, and he would make things look airbrushed. And so he had made me one cap. Like I had a cap. My dad used to have a bunch of promotional caps. He got one of the caps and he airbrushed Sammy on it or whatever. And I was gonna ask him to do something else. And so he starts airbrushing this other cap. And he's like, I'm like, well, I already got one that says Sammy on it. Why don't you put something else? And And so at the time there was I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. It's old school, but a series of comedy movies called Police Academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
In Police Academy 3, it's called Citizens on Patrol, Cop. And there's this big black dude, right? Big black dude, and he shows up in a motor scooter. So picture a big black dude on a motor scooter, right? And that guy's name was House. And so I used to, Cesar lived in my neighborhood, and so I'm riding around the neighborhood, and I would always ride around on a scooter. And so it's a big, chubby Sammy riding around a scooter, and he's like, why don't we just put House on the cap? And so I'm like, yeah, go ahead, put House on the cap, right? Like whatever, dude, you're going to do whatever you want. So I had a cap that said House, and then I would wear it. I thought it was a cool cap. I just liked the way it fit. So it was a whole summer where we were hanging out at pools and parties and stuff like that, and I would wear it, and everyone would be like, what's up, House? And I'd be like, what's up? And they're like, hey, House man, like, hey, el cantón. They would say el cantón, like, hey, dude, everybody, because they would see that on my cap. And so then I started buying shirts that said House. Some shirts already said House on them, and so it was back then. It was
like real T-shirts.
Because in the '90s, the club music was house music. So there was a bunch of shirts that said House. So ironic? Yeah, technically, I was just buying a bunch of shirts that said House because that's what everyone was calling me anyway. And when I first started on the radio, I wanted to be Sam the Man, and they're like, it's kind of lame, bro. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, everyone calls me House. They're like, why don't you be Sammy the House? And so it was just everyone would call me House because, okay, he did it as a joke to make me look like, the fat guy in the movie, right? But everyone thought it was cool the way I had all these cool different things that said House. So everyone would just be like, House man, el cantón, what's up, House? It just kept on.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, it just stayed.
That's awesome, man.
Try to do it as fast as possible. Sorry, guys.
No, dude.
It's funny.
No need for cutting around.
That was funny. That's cool. I mean, I dig
I-
it.
I-
Do you have to
honestly,
is it trademarked
no-
or something? Do you have
I
to
want a really
trademark
cool
it?
nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, that's awesome.
You do have one, dude.
No, I don't.
It's
Go
Shibby.
fuck out. Oh, Shibby is the.
Yeah,
It's because so my
Hey, Shibby.
my Instagram.
Is Shibby the poet?
Chevy the boy.
No. So see, we can't do it now. We
Shibby
can't
the
do it
poop-pop.
now. No, it's because my Instagram handle is baby it's okay, and some people just say Shibby.
Shibby.
So that's whenever people see me, sometimes they'll say that. I'm like, don't.
That's not my name.
But that's a cariño, bro.
I know.
a
That's what. But,
cariño.
I mean,
It should
like,
be.
I'll be like, hey, all right, man, come on, give me a hug, let's take a selfie. But I could be like, maybe it's okay. That sounds so much worse though.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right.
wouldn't let you do that to my daughter.
So I just yeah.
Exactly, dude.
I
All right, if you had
maybe I need to change it.
We're gonna present you like that on the next comedy show. It's baby, it's okay.
Hey, you
Yes,
guys
yes,
know
yes.
him
Hey.
from
Yeah,
talking
you-
shit on
you
microphones. It's
sound
Shibby.
It's
Like those rappers with weird names.
Shibuya.
Yeah.
the ones that are all just all caps.
Young boy
together.
NBA, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
you
yeah,
right
like
there.
the
Tentacion.
YMB Shibby.
Yeah.
Yeah, El Cantón son
YMCMB Shibby.
Cantón.
Shout out to
they-
El Cantón. It's a dope drink at El Capataz, dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's
El
that's
Cantón.
called El Cantón.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I should try
Try
that.
it.
They actually
Yeah.
sent the house.
They don't let me in there.
No.
What? You're lying.
Damn.
I don't know. Every time I
They
go,
like Kanye.
no. The only time I attempt to go to Capataz is because they're paying me back
Kanye,
for
they're fucking Kanye fans, dude.
Yeah, no. Every time that I'm gone, it's always Friday happy hour. So that place is always packed, and there's never enough room. So
Oh.
Damn.
yeah. So, but
if you ever
Dear
do get
Capataz,
to-
one day I'd love to go. It would be real nice to go.
Dude, try it. It's like
Red
you'll
carpet,
feel
though.
like you're on a beach somewhere.
As soon as I walk in there, I'll be like, before I get kicked out of here.
Let me at least try this one
Yeah, can you
drink.
just give me a little flight of cantones?
Give me a goat cheese to go.
El Cantón to go.
Goat
Yeah.
cheese to go.
And it's funny; those are my hood friends. Like, hey, Canton, and I would hang out with a bunch of older people because I've always been the young guy. Well, I was always the young guy. I was again 12 years old, starting in radio and going to different events and stuff. So it was the older guys from the hood were like, Canton, like. Yeah, or somebody would say homebox. I don't know why he would call me. Hey, homebox. Like,
Home slice.
okay, like
Home slice.
Home
How-
slice.
there was
How
home
did you-
slice, there was homeboy, homebox.
As a 12-year-old, how do you even like? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna work at a radio station. How'd that happen?
So they didn't know how old I was because
Wait, what?
I was young, but I was also
At 12 years old?
I was
Or what?
I was.
Did I hear wrong?
Yeah, I started at 12. Hello,
That's insane, man.
hey Picasso, how are you?
No, wow.
He's gone, dude.
Welcome to the
know.
conversation.
It must have been. I must have been getting a donut. I'm sorry.
What's funny is that like you can tell
He
he's
just tuned into the podcast.
he's fanboying hard because he's never talked this much on a podcast for sure. So it's
just
like
cool, man.
Right now, we're
is.
gonna talk about the Batman. By the way,
You're fanboying? Why? Because
No, it's just. I mean, it's just cool, man. Like you're living the dream, dude. You're a radio.
Oh,
It's awesome.
yeah.
you're living the
No, I
dream
mean,
of
I'm
being
sure it's
on
a-
the
if this
Aliens
is the
on the
dream,
Border
it's
podcast.
like-
y'all
Nah,
better
but-
wake me up pretty fast.
Yeah, but like, dude. I mean, you're part of Laredo, man.
Oh,
It's
thanks, man.
cool,
I appreciate. Look, whenever people say stuff like that, like, oh, again, I said it sounded annoying when
Yeah,
people were
yeah, I
like,
feel
I
you.
remember growing up with you. Like, I do feel old, but I appreciate that, and so whoever. Like, because people said some really nice things, and so thank you for
Yeah,
you saying
yeah.
that, and to everybody else, man, thanks.
The show's still going.
Nice.
It's what's crazier, like you're still doing it, man.
Yeah.
how long do you think you're gonna be doing this? Wait, did we miss this?
My goal is to achieve heat wave status.
Really?
Oh
Yeah,
shit!
yeah,
Nice. So just
yeah.
power walking in the morning.
Yeah. Well, he used to bike everywhere.
You know what's crazy is that like I have a story about Heatwave where I was in elementary school and
Yeah.
he showed up to do this like career day sort of thing. When I was a kid, I would read science books. That was my thing. My mom would buy.
I don't
science-
believe you.
Dude,
You don't seem like a science nerd to me.
Shut up!
say
I
Heat
know.
Wave touched
I am
him, dude.
fully aware that
That's
I'm
not the shitty I grew up
nerdy as a-
loving.
For real, dude.
I'm fully aware that I'm like the nerdiest dude, and that's okay.
He would just read
And
the anatomy portion,
look,
so he has so
I-
many dick jokes now.
Nerds are cool, bro.
Look, so I would read the weather portions because let me finish.
Shut up.
before-
Let
me
him
finish,
talk.
let me finish.
Hey, you guys have been letting me talk. Let him talk.
I would read the weather portions because I was scared of thunderstorms. I was a kid, right? And I wanted to understand it. That was what I was taught is the best way to get over that fear is to understand it. So my mom bought me like weather books and like science books, and I was like super into it. So then I got really into like meteorology, and I would watch Heatwave as like that's my dude. I was like, as long as he says that there's no tornado coming, like I'm good. I was scared, like
tornadoes?
so bad of tornadoes. Like my parents traumatized me because they took me to go watch Twister.
I was about to say, did you watch
wow.
Twister?
They took me to go watch Twister.
Good
On
movie,
the
by the way.
night that we went to go watch Twister, there was a tornado warning that popped up, and I was like, "We're gonna die!" Like I went and I hit
I
in
have
the.
a funny story about
the
that. Okay, go
odds,
ahead.
man?
Yeah.
So I went and I watched Twister, whatever that led to the whole thing. Started watching Heatwave and started reading books. And one day Heatwave goes over to the elementary school, and the teachers knew like that's that nerdy kid that's afraid of thunder and stuff. And so they were like, hey, come meet Heatwave. And I was like, really? Like, so I showed up and Heatwave's like, so you like weather, do you? You know? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I do. And so
Watch me make
so
it
he,
rain.
So he invites me over to the station.
That's
Now,
awesome.
So my mom.
Your hero invited you to come hang.
Hang on, it doesn't. I don't think it ends well.
Long live Heatwave, bro.
So
If it's gonna make a funny story too, even better. Long live Heatwave.
So he invites me, and I wanted to do everything I could to get to that station because, like, my parents and I, like, we weren't like, doing like super well in like the money department or whatever. So we just like, that's a lot of gas to get to the other side of town and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'll like help with whatever I can help, right? And so we ended up like raising just some money so I could just go, right? Like just. And I get to the station, and I'm like, I want to see the room or whatever. And then I go and I see that the room is just
a green screen.
it's just a green screen.
You mean there wasn't a room full of weather maps?
Dude, it's just
Where are the clouds? Where are the numbers?
it was just a green screen and like a bunch of little instruments. And then I thought like, well, for sure he's got like a radar somewhere. Like I got to see something, right? And I go and I find out that he's fed all these things from the station in Corpus, where they actually have a radar and like weather machines and instruments or whatever.
Corpus Christi weather.
Yeah.
You
So
started crying. You said, "It's all a lie."
so then I asked him. I was like, "Where's all the stuff?" And then he's like, "This is it." Like he started showing me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Well, like and then I thought like, "All right, well, like, can you show me like how it does?" And he started showing me and whatever. And kind of running me through what it's like for him. And then he's like, so you want to be a meteorologist one day? And I'm like, yeah, I want to do the weather and stuff like you or whatever. And then he's like, well, you have to be really good at math, so keep practicing math. And I was like, fuck it, never mind. I was ass at math, dude, since I was a kid, dude. And so I was like,
you remember Alan, dude?
So I was like,
don't give up on your dreams, everybody.
Well, so I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'll try. Somewhere along the road, I must have done really bad at a math class or whatever. Actually, you know what? My teacher asked me. She's like, "So what did you learn what did you learn when you went to go visit Heatwave at the station?" And I was like, "I learned that I'm not going to be a weatherman." But yes, that's my story.
I have a lot of things to tell you about what you just said. Everything you had, you were Josh Safdie's Muse on Uncut Gems. So everything you said has inspired me to give you a bunch of stuff. Number one, when I was a little boy, y'all ready for this? I used to be afraid of thunder, and every time it would thunder, I would call my dad and ask him when the storm was going to end. Don't worry, you're not alone. I was afraid of thunder too.
Hey, I'm over it now.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I healed.
Definitely scared of
I
thunder
healed.
still.
Well, no, even then when there's a thunderstorm now, I have a seance and I try to call my dad. No.
Hey,
Yeah. Okay. So, fun fact, nobody is as good at math as Heatwave is. And let me explain to you this. I'm going to give you a fun fact about the legend of Heatwave. Heatwave is known all across the country because of how great he is at weather. Laredo is one of those that doesn't appreciate him as much because he's, you can't be a prophet in your own town. But he's a legend. So one of the other guys from the station, shout out to Ryan Bailey. Supposedly Ryan Bailey was at some kind of news convention somewhere, or there was he was somewhere with other people in another state. What happened? Are we losing?
I thought I was doing.
Oh yeah. So he was in another part of the country, and there's a bunch of news people there, and they're like, "Oh, what market are you from?" Right? And I think there was some weather guys there, and they're like, "What market are you from?" And Ryan's like, "Oh, I'm from Laredo," and they're like, "Texas?" And he's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "How's Heatwave?" Right? And they're like, "Oh, he's great," and they're like, "Man, he's a legend," and he's like, "What? What do you mean? Like, yeah, he's great, but he's like, no, he's a legend. You know his story about Texas Instruments?" And then so Ryan's like, "No." And so we learned the story of he had a Texas Instruments scientific calculator, and he found a glitch. He found a discrepancy.
Oh, wow.
He contacted Texas Instruments. He explained to them that what was happening, there was a function that wasn't doing the right thing, so they were messing up. Whatever answer they would get, the Texas Instrument calculator was getting it wrong.
Oh, wow.
So he contacts Texas Instruments, and Texas Instruments is like, "All right, we'll fix it." And they had to fix it on all of their calculators because Heatwave found a discrepancy because he was right.
And the TI-83?
Yeah, I don't know which one it was, but the calculator was wrong. And so they sent him a calculator, and they sent him a whole bunch of stuff, and he saved the day. Heatwave saved the calculators.
That's crazy.
Stuff.
That's fucking crazy.
No one's expected to be that good at math, bro. You're fine. Yeah, I'm sure you would have been a great weatherman.
Oh, I mean, maybe it's never too late. I don't know.
Like,
hey,
mental
guys.
advocacy.
It's going like completely over my head, but why the fuck do you have to be good at math to like point at some shit on the green screen?
No, it's much more than that.
You're not just
Look,
pointing,
dude,
bro. You're reading maps and weather and dude.
I'm down as fuck.
Dude, there's barometric pressure. There's a bunch of things in the air. You have to do all these measurements.
Let me get my science book real quick.
And so another fun fact, if I'm not mistaken, I just heard in the news lately that Laredo just got their own Doppler radar. So now we don't have to rely on Corpus. We'll probably get readings and stuff here. I hope
it's gonna be hot today.
I hope Heatwave gets to use it, because he deserves his own radar.
Who else, dude?
Yeah. Like Heatwave is a part of life.
Shout out to Heatwave, bro.
Yeah, I hope his ears aren't burning. I love you, Heatwave. He's always
we're not talking bad about him.
He's super nice. He's always cordial when I see him. I
used to work at Sears. I saw him buying a suit there once, and I was like, "Hey, man,
that suit looks good."
Really like
Oshkosh bagosh.
stuff. I'm not sure if you remember.
Remember me?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you remember. But I obviously did not become a weatherman. I'm at Sears now, and then he was like, "How much is this?"
I told you I'm not good at math, sir.
But you know what's great? The same way you were a kid. I used to be a kid watching Heatwave also. I grew up watching Heatwave. So the fact that this is from my heart to Heatwave. Heat Wave, the fact that you see me somewhere and you recognize me, he recognizes me, he shakes my hand, and he's like, "How you doing, Sam?"
How you doing?
The fact that he knows who I am means the world to me, because you met your hero, and for your heroes to be like, "What's up, Sam?" So, dear Heat Wave, thank you for knowing who I am. I was also a kid that watched you on TV, so it's real nice.
That's for you, Heat Wave. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Hey, I
Let's
feel
get
like
Heat Wave on the next one.
I
dude.
interrupted the whole beginning story. So like at 12 years old, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
said,
He was
Oh,
lost.
yeah.
It was when he got lost.
Yeah,
we had
that's
to
right.
reel him back in.
Hold on. Did you say that there was a Twister when you were watching Twister?
Yes.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you a little side story about that?
Yeah, sure.
He said, "Get to the story when you were 12." I'm not. Okay. So, are you guys familiar with Dan Brown?
No.
The author.
Wait, oh,
Yes,
yes.
Not okay. So there was one night I was living in my apartment by myself, and it was one of those nights where I wasn't gonna go out, so I got inebriated by myself at home and started reading, because I'm also kind of geeky sometimes, but nobody knows it. They just assume that I'm stupid, which is great. But so I'm reading Dan Brown, Angels and Demons.
Oh, about to ask which one.
Yeah, I'm reading Dan Brown, Angels and Demons, and I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, that is the book.
That's part 2, right?
Yeah, where the Pope dies, and they have to find a new Pope, right?
I don't know. I skipped that one and then read The Lost Symbol.
Okay, so
Sorry.
in that one, the Pope dies, and they need to find, and there's a whole mystery between, finding the new Pope. So I'm it's a Friday night. I'm a little bit inebriated. I'm reading a book, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And I get to the point where like the Pope dies, and I'm like, oh snap, this book's gonna be intense. The Pope died. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna save this for when I'm a little bit more aware. I'm gonna put my bookmark in. I put it down. Right. The next morning, I wake up, and the Pope died.
wow, what the
You
fuck?
killed the Pope, dude.
I think this was like, this was when Pope John Paul died, and I was like,
That's insane.
I was
dude.
like, what happened last night? How much did I drink? What did I do? Did I make this happen? I was super scared, but I was like, dude.
As far as
That's
coincidences
Think
go,
about
that's
that. Going to
trippy,
sleep and you
dude.
read a book about the Pope dying, and then you wake up and it's like all over the news, the Pope died. And I'm like,
Did you read like How to Make $1 Million?
That's next on the list.
He woke up the next day. Yo, bro.
Get really drunk and
Still
just
haven't
read all
read-
these books you want to have.
No,
But it's just one of those where like you're gonna watch Twister and there's a Twister advisory.
It was literally like,
oh yeah, okay.
So we got out of there.
I'm
we got
slow with this, man.
we got out of the theater, and we were like driving home. I remember like having my head against the window, my parents driving, and then I just see like the thunder just going out, like the lightning just jumping cloud to cloud, and I'm like, oh man, this is how that movie. This is what happened in that movie, right? Then we get home.
You're looking for cows in the
We get
sky.
home, and, dude. We get home, and like we're all sitting
cow inside my
around. We're all
house.
sitting around, and like my aunt must have thought it was hilarious. It might have been my uncle too, my uncle Mike, who's I think watching right now. But we were.
What's up, Mike?
We were in the middle of like we were all in the living room, and that awful sound, dude. That awful sound goes on. And I'm like, oh, severe weather alert. That's fine. It's just a lot of rain, maybe some hail, a lot of wind, and then it changes. It's like immediately it goes down, and it's like another color, and it's like, and it says tornado warning, and I'm like, oh god, we're all gonna die. And so I just remember like reading all this, and then on top of that, there was an interruption in like the service. Like the broadcast, it was like because we were watching like the local
Those are the
news
creepiest
or
things,
something.
man.
So it's like, doo, and it comes up. There's like, this is the emergency broadcast system, or whatever, and it starts saying
You're
the whole
going
thing.
to die.
It was like a giant sky vacuum coming right at you, and I was like,
A giant sky
And so
vacuum.
Hide your cows.
hide your cows. So I was like freaking out, dude. And you know what? Not one drop of rain on our house, not one. But I was like hiding in the bathtub and like covered in a mattress and shit because I was just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with any of that. And then my uncle was the one who like really spurred it because I remember like going to my room and just being like, I want to hide here under the blankets, whatever. And my uncle's like, if a tornado hits, you'd be much safer in the bathtub. And I was like, okay, I'm going to the bathtub. So I was just like freaked out. But
He's like, get out of my room. I'm doing stuff.
So
I'm getting inebriated with Sammy. We're gonna read the book.
We're going to kill the Pope.
Yeah.
he's like, what does your book say? Quick. But yeah, that's nuts. But yeah, man, I do credit like the same thing. I do feel like the
Sorry.
Whoa.
what is that?
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I thought I was hearing.
I was
echoes.
trying to like see because I shared it and I was checking.
I do think the same thing. I do feel like the I do feel like it is like legend status, man. Like I think running into you at AJ's and like just being like, hey, what's up? Like it's super cool.
Hold on. Shout out to Norma Ortiz. I love you. She's one of my oldest friends, and she just said giant sky vacuum and started laughing.
Thanks for tuning in. I do feel like just kind of how does that feel? Like really just feeling the whole.
Are you asking me what it feels like to have legend status?
Yeah. What is that? I mean, I'm just.
Let me tell you, bud. No, it's the cat's pajamas.
No, I know. It's like I know you can be humble, but there's like at some point where you have to be like aware that like there's so many people that know you and like look to you like for inspiration.
Variety.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna give you a man lesson right now. Until you know what it's like to be a broken man, you'll never appreciate anything. And it's funny. A lot of men that I know, it's funny. I've been part of different religious retreats before, and you meet these men, and all these men have their own little stories of being broken. And when you become broken, and I won't give you my whole story about being broken, but when you become broken, it's little things like legend status and money and cars and buying the bar and traveling, that stuff kind of doesn't matter anymore. And so it's not that I'm trying to be humble, and not that I'm trying to portray like, oh, thanks guys, it's nothing. It's not that I'm trying to portray humility. I strive for that, of course. Everyone should be humble, and everyone should try to strive for humility. But there's so much that I haven't done. There's so much that I don't have. There's so much that I would love to do, right? And the reality of it is I'm not going to get to do everything that I want to do. None of us is going to get to do everything that we all want to do. This is one of the reasons why earlier in the show I said there's today, there's no tomorrow, and there's no yesterday. There's today only. So I could very easily plan to be like a humongous legend, tomorrow, but it could end tonight, And so when people say, how do you feel about being a legend? It's nice to be recognized. But again, like I told you earlier also, it can also be a curse. And people that don't know me don't like me because they've never met me. Right. So that legend status comes with I don't want to say, heavy weighs the crown, heavy weighs the head that wears the crown.
It's lonely at the top.
But it can be. I've met many celebrities, so I'll use them as an example. I've met celebrities, and there's with all the love, there's also hate.
You're like the Batman.
Yeah.
You either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Something like that.
Spider-Man.
Lottie boy.
It's gonna happen.
No.
One day I'm gonna become the villain. You're gonna see it. You're like, what did he do? What
We're
happened
gonna
to
play
Sam?
Kanye all day today.
Yeah.
We're gonna listen to an entire Kanye album.
I laughed too hard at that. No, man. It's just I don't like to accept the legend status. It's nice, and I go home and I thank God, and I actually pray to God to thank you for that. But it's not something that I try to focus on because one very famous guy that I had lunch with, very famous. He's like, I'm good to people because they might not remember me tomorrow. So anybody can be a legend today, and they might cancel you tomorrow. So I don't focus on legend status. It feels nice. People have said some really nice things, and it makes me feel good. Like somebody the other day said something like, bro, like they said something like, I was in a very dark place, and you messaged me to see how I was doing. And that meant the world to me. And when someone says that to you, it's like you don't know, I don't know how dark you were in that night, and I don't know what I did. Another guy told me about, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, about his mom going through a divorce, and she would cry on the way to school as he would drop him off because she was going through a divorce. And he's like, I would turn the radio up so my mom had something to laugh at because I didn't want to see her crying. You hear stuff like that, and it's like, you put it away, man. You put it in there, and you kind of just, you offer it up to God, and you say thank you for that, but you can't.
Beyond me.
Yeah, it's there. I have it, but I'm not gonna use that. What I would say, weaponize that. So I try not to focus on stuff like that. I just take it and I say thanks, and that's it.
Maybe humble Roger can learn something from that, dude. A thing or two.
I'm the most humble. I'm so humble, dude. The most humble. Everyone knows this. Nobody can be more humble than me. Just kidding.
When I talked about being broken, each one of you as a man, you're gonna reach a point in your life where something is gonna break your heart.
I think I actually passed that.
So if you have if he's saying that you're not humble, it's because you haven't hit it yet.
No, it's a bit. It's a gag.
They got beef.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I think I had to go through a big part, a big self reflection, kind of really looking inwards on a lot of stuff, specifically revolving like family. And there's like a whole podcast episode about it. You know what's funny? And actually, while you were talking about what it's like in terms of like caring about recognition and that kind of stuff, I think when the podcast was like very I don't know what's the word, kind of like juvenile in its new? We were just new, maybe we were like very barely getting like our wheels turning. I remember getting a message from you specifically where all it said was "I see y'all," and I was like, that feels good. It feels good because it's like that means somebody who's been in radio for a while is like, hey, there's a little bit of a nod, and I'm like, that feels good.
Tip of the hat.
Tip of the hat.
I try to do that, okay. So maybe that's a little. It's not so much me using whatever status that you think I may have, because I don't walk out of the door and saying, "Hey, what's up? Move out of the way, legend coming in."
Yeah,
I don't ever do that.
Hey, it's the house.
The house is in this piece.
I've always hated other people that are like. There's Laredo celebrities, right? And I understand.
Roger's one
like
of
who?
them.
Who?
No, there's a lot of Laredo.
Let's call it
you.
Like
I don't know nobody.
Name like two.
The thing is, people have called me Laredo celebrity, and every time I hear that, it's like.
Get it right,
you're like,
national
I know
celebrity.
Honestly, it makes me feel like, well, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're the best guy in the bar. Like, it's not exactly the greatest title in the world. Celebrity is not something I strive for, much less local hometown celebrity. Like, but I do know that, like I said, I grew up watching Heatwave. So when Heatwave says my name and says, "Hi, Sam, how are you?" It's like, you know what I mean? Like so sometimes when I know that people know who I am, I'll just be like, humbly, if possible, "I see y'all." And so I try to do that to people. I try to be like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Good job." And if I can, I will bless people up, but I don't do it often because I don't want to cheapen it either. Like my endorsement, when I endorse things, when I talk about things that I like, I want people to realize that I really like it. I don't ever want you to think that, oh, I'm just, some guy, saying it because I have to, or it's part of a narrative. I try my best. Like, shout out to Matthew Cervantes. He's a hardworking rapper in town, and he's working so hard, and he has talent. So a lot of guys, local talent, is like, why don't you put me on? Why don't you, you check me on? It's like, because I don't
put yourself on.
I don't see the work. Like, I don't see the work, and Matthew puts in the work. So when I try to say, "I see y'all," I see the work. Like, this is like when I was walking in here, and you guys were setting up all your mics, and I see the work. And you guys are doing what you're supposed to do, and you're not giving up. You're not worried about how many Patreon people you have. You're not worried. You're just still here, and you're putting in the work. Every morning I go into the station, and I don't know who's listening. I don't know if they're listening at all. Yeah. And I walk in, and I'm there because of the work. And so when I see people putting in the work, I give them a little like, "Hey man, I see you." The same way when Heatwave's like, "Hey Sam," and I'm like, yeah, like he knows me.
I like that you bring up that point though, because I feel that's one of the biggest lessons that I've been able to take away. Is like, thankfully I've been surrounded by people that are carving out their own lane, for lack of a better phrase to use it. And one of the biggest things that I've taken away from just watching what they do and trying to emulate that in my own way is exactly what you're saying, where it's mostly like, in the way I interpret it, in like my own personal Nindo, if you will, ninja way of the ninja, it is exactly what you're saying. It's like, keep your head down and do the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the work will speak for itself. Like, nobody owes you anything. You're not entitled to anything. It's just do the work, whether 100 people are listening, or 3 or 4 or 5. Like, it's just do it.
All right,
it's about it. Do it for the love of the game. What?
You sound like Gary Vee.
Gary Vee, you gotta hustle. You gotta wake up every
done,
morning.
dude.
This guy is.
You gotta wake up in the morning
dude.
and pour yourself a big old glass of hustle.
I wonder.
Don't go buy milk. Just milk the cow. You
want-
gotta understand, milking the cow is different than buying the milk.
It's true.
That's Gary Vee.
Buy
The grass is green where you water it, bro.
Right on, exactly.
The grass is green. Say, the price that it was yesterday is not the same price that it is today.
Exactly.
Anyway, I want to be honest, because there's people that know me that work with me all the time, and they see my other side, and I do get frustrated when I've put in the work, and I don't get noticed, or they didn't notice what I did. Like you put in details into the thing. So when I say I see you all, I'm literally telling you something that I would want the same thing. Like if someone be like, man, Sam, good show in the morning, or I enjoyed listening to you, or like, hey, man, that was really funny what you said. So when people tell me, hey, that was funny what you said, okay, like I you saw the work, you know, and so that's what I try to do. I try to tell everyone, if someone's putting in the work.
I can't get over that frustration. I feel like I'm like always, and then it's something that I've like really worked on as of late. Not expending energy on things that you're not really receiving.
I used to work from midnight to 6 in the morning, bro, on a radio station. We don't know who's listening, and I'm in a room. There's no likes in a radio station. Like I was in a room for 6 hours in darkness while everyone is technically everyone's asleep. I don't know if they're listening or not. I don't know if that. So when the phone would ring, oh my God, we would love it because like somebody's out there listening. You know, somebody's out there listening. So I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, we don't social media. I started in radio before social media, so I didn't know who was listening. You know, unless they called, you know, or showed up, you know, at 2, 3 in the morning. Hey, I brought you a snack. Like, oh, thanks. Like, I didn't know who was listening. I didn't get likes. You know, people are now looking at Instagram all the time. You're like, who liked it? Who liked it? How many views did I get? Check the insights. And it's you know, and it's like check the insights, and it's like we didn't have insights, bro. We didn't have insights. So I know exactly what you're frustrated about, and
I mean, it's not really like the podcast thing. I think it's more of like the comedy stuff. I feel like there's always times where like I don't know, there's other like people in the scene that are, like I kind of feel like are purposely trying to like keep you a secret, and I found this out over this last weekend in McAllen. I got booked in McAllen for like the first time in like 2 years, right? I hadn't been in McAllen for a while. And while in the middle of a conversation we were having, it was just like, oh, it's because they told me that you weren't like working anymore. You weren't like doing spots. And I was like, dude, I never stopped. I stopped a little bit for like, you know,
as much as anyone
personal responsibility as much as we could. But, and to find that out was like pretty upsetting. But I didn't want to like focus on that energy. I was just, you know what? All I can do is put on a good show and keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah, it's that's a good lesson. I think that's a good talk. Definitely that I kind of need to reflect a little more on myself.
So I in regards to that, I also know many comedians. Again, the celebrity that I was talking about earlier, he's a big name comedian. I know comedy. I don't do comedy because I'm not as sharp as some of these guys out there doing comedy, but I know comedy. So I know about bad crowd. I know about they're quiet. I know about having a space and time the joke, let them laugh a little bit. I know about that, but I also know that every comedian is dealing with that, especially the up-and-comers. So unless you're Chappelle, who's now putting people on and saying, you know what, you can have my Netflix special. I'm gonna produce your special. I'm just gonna be in the background. Unless you're that successful, you're always gonna be trying to fill your bowl first. And so if you're dealing with comedians that aren't super successful right now, well, they're all going to try to get their gig. They all want their 5 minutes. They all want their 5 minutes. They all want to get paid to travel to San Antonio, to travel to the Valley, to travel to El Paso, to travel to Austin. They all want to go up there and make sure that not only did they fill their tank of gas, right, but they got something out of the show and maybe some people. So there's going to be people. If I was a comedian, I wouldn't be like, yeah, you should hire Roger. No, I'd be hire me. Because that's exactly what you would do. Like, you know what? Give me the gig. I don't want you to give it to him. I'm here. I want the gig. And so every comedian at this point is going to try to do that if they're up and coming. If they're successful and you've reached that status of Dave Chappelle, we're like, you know what? I've done enough Netflix specials. Let me give some to my friends. But no one's at that status just yet. So, you know, Gabriel Iglesias, he's got a bunch of guys that he brings with him on shows. But if they go and get their own gigs while they're not touring with him, like I'm talking about Martin and Alfred Robles, those guys, they're hustling and doing their own thing. They're gonna go get their own gigs. If they're not on tour with Fluff, they're gonna go and get their own gigs. So yeah, man. I mean, you can't be mad at the hustle. Someone doesn't want you to have the gig because they want the gig, and that's just understandable.
I think it's more just like I don't know. Maybe it's just too much of the like.
Do you know what projecting is?
Too nice.
I just like
what? No, the whole thing about just like I guess wanting to support everybody from like your crowd, your area, and then them just like doing like shady stuff like that. I don't know, but it's all right.
I mean, if they purposely said that you weren't working, then that's kind of mean. They could have. So let's say this: I am not a successful comedian, and I'm up at LOL in San Antonio, right? And they're like, "Hey, man, so we got this gig opening. I'll take it." Yeah. What about the other guy, Roger? I don't know, man. I would just be like, you know what? Contact Roger, but I'm here if you need me. Yeah. I wouldn't be like, nah, Roger's not doing this anymore. You know,
that's what.
If that's what it was, then that's kind of mean.
Yeah. That's kind of fucked up. But at the same time, like going back to what we were talking about just now, where it's like, yeah, be mindful of like doing the work and everything. I think that it's also there's like a fine line between being egotistical and then also valuing what you can do and what you bring to the table as whether like whatever talent that may be, whether it's like your comedy or as a podcaster or whatever. I think that it's also a good thing to be able to take a look at yourself and value what it is that you bring to the table. Of course, while minding that line between like being an egotistical son of a bitch, you know what I mean? Like, because I feel that like a lot predominantly, and this is something that I kind of I'm gonna rip off of you, Marlene. I'm sorry, babe, but this past Saturday we were at the Bonitas Sin Límites event. And I was producing for my girlfriend and her podcast. That's just my opinion. And one of the topic of conversations that came up with, I think that she was talking to Valerie about, or Olis, I'm not sure. One or the other was exactly that, where the mode of thought, and maybe it's just exclusive to Laredo, maybe it's a South Texas thing because of the influence of Mexico or what have you, but the mode of thought is like we downplay ourselves because of the haters that speak. Whether that be like that you're actually good at what it is that you do, and you're not really like celebrating that, but rather like downplaying it to try to make yourself small and not, garner that attention where people are going to be like, hey, shut the fuck up, we don't want to hear about you or whatever. But I think it's a good thing that we celebrate ourselves to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like, of course, taking a humble approach to it, but not being ashamed of like, hey, dude, I bring this to the table and I'm good at this. You know what I mean?
The phrase I've heard over and over again is crabs in a bucket. Are you familiar with the crabs in a bucket? So it's crabs. It's crabs in a bucket. So what happens is if one crab sees the other crab trying to get out, he's going to pull the other crab down instead of saying, well, let me get out too, right? But that's why they downplay this stuff. Again, you were talking to me about legendary status, and I'm trying to just try to stay, humble, but it becomes crabs in a bucket. We're like, I knew he was gonna say he knew he was a legend. Like if I say, oh yeah, it's great to be a legend, they're all gonna get. It's more ammo. So yeah, it's not so much downplaying. It's more like I don't need to feed the enemies right now.
Give them that ammo. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what, Josh? You're right. I am the best comic in Laredo. Thanks, dude. I'm just joking.
Here come the crabs. Right? Here come the crabs.
Arguable. I mean,
Humble 2022. Right? Is that what we're doing?
Again, guys, it's not so much about being humble. It's just, I guess, try to be cool. Try to be cool. Try to, just be good to people. Apathetic.
Yeah,
be
there
good
you go.
Yeah, be good to. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be humble. You don't have to downplay yourself either. You're a funny comic, and enjoy the fact that you're a funny comic. Just, I don't know, man. Just don't throw it in people's faces.
Oh no, it was just a joke. It's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit.
It's all a bit.
It's always a bit. No, yeah, I don't think I ever actually do that. It's just more of a character thing or whatever we do when Josh is like pretending that I'm super full of myself all the time. So.
I'm sure amongst the comics, there's you guys want to be on stage and make people laugh. That's an ego thing. So there's going to be ego. Yeah, there's going to be egos. Same thing with radio. Same thing in media.
Same thing with us doing this.
Yeah, we want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want you to laugh at us. We have egos. Egos exist, and if your ego is it worries about other people's egos, then there's going to be a fight. If you just enjoy your ego and just you do your thing, and without hurting anybody else, it becomes a little bit better. But everybody wants to be better than everybody else. If someone else is being better and working hard, they're mad at you for working hard, and they're mad at you for doing better. So they don't want you to be better. Slow down, bro. We're being graded on a curve.
Facts. What's some of like the biggest obstacles that you feel like you have to overcome to be where you're at right now?
I'm fat, bro.
That's a good segue.
No, obstacles. I'm lucky to always be at the right place at the right time. I've never tried to be better than anybody else. So I think the fact that everyone kind of recognizes that, I try my best to work with people. I try to be accessible. I try to be friendly. I try to be appreciative. So there's really hasn't been too many obstacles. Sometimes there's bosses that don't like again, I've had supervisors. I had supervisors that didn't like, this is not currently, this is back in the day, supervisors that didn't like that people thought I was in charge when my bosses were in charge. So they'd get mad, and they're like, well, it's because everybody wants to talk to Sammy, and everyone recognizes Sammy. And it's like, well, man, like,
the one behind the mic,
I mean, what the thing is, I also do my best to go to public places and do things and go to the schools and stuff like that. So, you know, like, I did my best. There's a lot of sacrifice that has to be made by, you know, to be this recognized, I guess. And so, yeah, there's a lot of sacrifices, but nobody knows about the sacrifices. And then the people that don't like that you get the attention are mad that you're getting the attention, but they don't want to sacrifice. You got to put in the work, like I said.
Put in the work,
man.
Put in the work 2022.
You spit game, man.
Thank you.
A lot of game.
Dropping dimes,
okay,
dropping
Picasso.
jewels.
I like it.
Thank you.
I don't get where that's from.
It's from a video, dude. A guy's like strolling by and some people are doing some stuff and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's an art project. And he goes, okay, Picasso. I like it.
You're gonna
and
have
he
to
just
send
keeps
it to me.
driving, dude. It's super funny.
You're gonna have to send it to me because I don't know what the fuck.
Is that GTA?
No. It's like in real life.
It's IRL. Jesus.
So what we doing? We rapping?
No,
We
not
rapping,
yet, because
capping?
we still got to get to the spoopy hour.
Oh, hey, so
Spoopy-
just right now,
spoopy.
you're still zoomed in on Sammy. Just right now,
Like, is it like? Are you telling me like spoopy? Is it like? Are we talking about scary Halloween? Like,
Oh yeah.
so so every time we have like somebody on board, we always try to like get some little like paranormal, supernatural
yes.
kind of stuff in there.
Yes.
Just right now, though, by the way, I think in the back of my head, like I've been like subconsciously thinking about what you mentioned before we started, which was
I love Halloween. I have a whole Halloween week. We talk about ghost stories on my show every year.
you mentioned that this building is haunted.
Yeah.
And you said that very matter of factly, but
Yes.
I just right now, I'm not sure you saw. I took off my headphones. I stood
Yeah.
up and I checked behind here because I heard somebody talking behind me. So that's why I took off my headphones.
I thought I heard that
I'm
too.
gonna
I
whisper
thought-
it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
no, I thought I
whispering.
heard that
Someone
too.
can hear it
I thought
randomly.
someone had gotten here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
Because
Wow.
you know,
Oh,
last
shit.
time, like your girlfriend, like kind of walked into the podcast, and I thought maybe that's what happened.
I got up and I checked because I was like, I heard like it was very clearly behind me, so I felt like
No, naughty boy. We're getting.
Yo, was that a
haunted
knock?
on-
that was a knock. You
That's
heard
straight
it.
up a
that
knock,
was a
right?
knock.
There's somebody out there.
Nah, bro.
Somebody out
I saw some like bell bottoms.
Oh, there better be somebody out there.
Yeah, there's somebody standing out there. They're wearing jeans. Look under the window,
You're
dude.
calling her a ghost, and it's your girlfriend locked outside.
Yeah, dude, it's your girl. She's been. I've been texting you for 30
I
minutes,
know,
and you see me
right?
talking about being humble.
She's in San Antonio right now.
You're calling me a ghost.
Is there somebody outside, Roger?
Who's that? Who's that in the jeans?
Lock the fucking door, dude. Just lock the door. The keys are right there somewhere. It's cool. It's happening live right
Tell
now.
him to scram, dude.
I can see bell bottoms in the bottom of the window. I mean, that's got to be a real person. But now there's two people.
There's a guy wearing bell bottoms.
Well, lock the door, dude.
Lock
That's
the fucking
pretty
door.
groovy,
Dude.
dude.
Lock the door. Nobody knows, but
There's
Roger's like
somewhere on the desk.
Roger's contemplating locking the door. Lock the door.
Lock the door.
There's some strangers outside we don't know.
Yeah, we're in a part of downtown that's not exactly the
It's
safest.
colorful. Let's
Yeah,
say
it's a
let's
very
say that.
colorful part of
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah, there's a lot of yellow and brown, if you know what I'm talking about. Colorful.
What? What is that? Can you explain that?
Piss and shit.
I know what he's talking about, but I don't want to say that. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I know what's up.
Yeah. Piss and shit. That's what
Oh,
I'm talking about.
Um,
A lot of piss and shit. I was like, you know what I'm saying?
I was
I
like,
thought
I
it
thought
was-
this gang activity. or
yeah, no, I
this-
thought it was like something with
Better
needles.
check your colors
Yeah, we thought
when you walk
different
around these
things.
parts.
Brown and yellow, brown and yellow, brown and yellow.
Shut up.
No, yeah, dude. So why, besides, if you want to reshare the story that you told us prior to starting.
Are people still here? Oh, we still have 5 years.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, man, how long have we been talking, dude?
I don't know. We're like at an hour 20.
Dude, it's an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. We're hitting the wrapping point.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Is it usually a 2-hour podcast?
Yeah, depending.
What is Roger doing?
I don't know, dude. He's out there
He get
trying to.
kidnapped?
He's doing math. He's trying to figure out the weather.
Just kidding.
Dude, I was like, gotta go help out.
He's like, bro.
I just wanted to scare y'all. No, I don't know. I don't know where. Roger went into the Coors room.
Oh, he's probably in the restroom, dude.
Roger's in the zone.
Yeah, he's in the fucking
Auto
dead zone.
zone.
Roger, you still there? Roger!
Can I get a here?
He's in the restroom. I can hear the fucking the extractor thing.
Maybe that was just his excuse to go use the shitter, dude.
Maybe. Dude.
Maybe. No, there was people out there.
No.
There's people out there, right? I'm not wrong?
There's people out there, but they're
Wearing bell bottoms.
They're homeless. They're just
They're homeless wearing
folks.
bell bottoms.
Well, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of people around here that just hang out.
just fucking around.
Right. So the story that you told us before
was fuzzy, but
we
everybody's
started
just
the
still.
podcast was
Calculating his chances to live. That's La Norma. What's up, Norma?
Shout out, Norma, dude.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So you told us a story before we started the podcast a little bit earlier about the Center for the Arts.
So, yeah, we're in the Center for the Arts building. So there's a bunch of suites surrounding the Center for the Arts, just so everybody knows. If you go to the Center for the Arts, there is a second floor in the main gallery. That's where they usually have like yoga or dance classes, or sometimes they display art up there. But so that was our hub when we were doing a play. So we were doing a play at the Center for the Arts. It was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and for the most part, we would rehearse there every night, and we kind of like, oh, it's kind of dark in that hall. Let's not go down that hall. And, nothing really happened. But the opening night, as the opening monologue was happening, we were all downstairs at the bottom of the stairs. We weren't upstairs at the hub where people do yoga and stuff like that. We went upstairs, or we were downstairs, and in plain, like we could hear it clear as a bell as the opening monologue is happening. You hear something like a chair fall on the second floor. Like it was loud, like someone dropped a table or someone dropped a really heavy chair, and you just hear, you know what I mean? And it was just, what was that? And we were looking around like, who's up there, right? Like who's, of all of us that are in the cast and the crew, who's up there? We were all downstairs.
Damn.
We were all downstairs, right? In the middle of the 2 acts of the play, we all get up there and we have to go to the bathroom. It just so happens that there was only one bathroom working, so guys and girls would all share a bathroom. It was a little co-ed bathroom. We're all very respectful of each other, just so everybody knows. Hashtag me too. So we're up there, and there. So everyone goes to the bathroom in between the break. I go up there, right? And I believe another friend of mine was in another stall, and he's like, "What's up, dude?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do my thing now. I don't feel like talking to you, right?" And then I was done, and I go and I wash my hands and I get out, and I could hear him even after I left. He's like, "So who's that?" And I was already walking down the stairs. So somebody was making, so you're in a stall, you think, oh, there's someone else in the bathroom. Nobody else was in the bathroom. It was just me and him. And nobody was on the floor, right? And even as I walked, like I kind of like saw someone in the corner. You know how in the corner, like all the lights are off except for the bathroom, right? So I kind of like heard something, but I was like, nah. And then he's like, dude, was there another girl there? Because it sounded like there was a little girl, and she was washing her hands, and she was kind of like just laughing. And I guess I thought she was just embarrassed because she had to go to the bathroom next to me. And I'm like, no, dude, nobody went in after me. And so those are the two things that happened upstairs.
Have you ever had any other experiences, like any in your life, just in general, like besides this one here at the Center
What
for
about
the
a
Arts?
radio station?
So yes. The station was on Houston Street on the other side of 35. And so what happens is I used to run a nightclub in Nuevo Laredo back when things were okay to just go hang out. And every night, I would help Big Lou, Big Lou.
Oh, right.
I would help Big Lou, and I would be his like promoter and stuff like that. And different people would ask for different songs. And so this is back in the day where Napster was still around. And so after I would leave the bar, I would try my best to either go the next day to download these songs and then burn them on a CD. This is still burning CDs and stuff. So one night I was just really kind of out of it, right? Not too out of it. And I go to the radio station. I had access to the radio station late at night. And so I go in and I start downloading all the songs that people had requested that we didn't have because we didn't have Wi-Fi and Spotify and all this stuff. We had to go and get the music. So I'm there and it's like 4:30 in the morning, downtown Laredo, but on the other side, right there by the PNC where the big flagpole is.
Got it.
Right there by Salvation Army. And I'm there and I'm in the back. I have to go all the way to the back of the station because there's a production studio back there. And that's where you have the CD burner and all that. And so I'm there, and as I'm finally pressing, sync on the CD burn. There's a big window, like a studio window, and there's like a water cooler and a coffee machine, and then there's the door to go outside because we had a little driveway where we would put like a Winnebago and stuff like that. And I'm just and I'm there, and all of a sudden I heard like. On the floor, but it wasn't that sound. It was more like it was a CD case.
Okay.
A CD case had been thrown across the floor, and it slid across the floor in front of me. I could hear it because the door was open to the studio. So I'm looking out the window. I'm looking out this window, and like I can see the coffee machine. I can see the door, and like there's nobody there, but it sounded like it slid across right in front of me in the window, and I'm like, it's 4:30 in the morning. I unlocked locks. Like there was a lock on the door. I unlocked a lock to get in here. Who's here? And everything on the back of my neck just went up, and I go and I kind of. It's one of those. This is a man thing. It's one of those fight or flight things. Like I'm either going to cower or I'm going to confront it. So my adrenaline goes up. I go into the hallway. I look. There's nothing.
Like there's nothing on the floor.
There's nothing on the floor.
Oh shit.
There's nothing on the floor. I heard it clear as day. I know I had gone. I had just come back from a nightclub, but I've never been so gone that I start hallucinating. I've never hallucinated. I never want to. I didn't imagine it. I heard what I heard. I go into the hallway and there's nothing there.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, there was nothing there, but I heard it. Another time that I was in the studio, we have like a series of computers, and some computers had like some of the things that were like on the radio. I'm there. It's early in the morning. It's like maybe 5 a.m. And I'm not touching anything. I haven't even sat down to get my files or whatever I'm trying to get, and I just hear Radio Next, and like someone hit a cue. Something had hit a cue, dude, and like. I'm like in the room and I'm like,
the fuck?
Who touched the cue? Like there was no way. It never happened. And all of a sudden something hit a button. Something touched the button and the thing played.
Yo, that's fucking crazy.
Oh, there was one more time. I was about to go on the air. I'm all alone. It's an evening shift that I'm doing. I'm about to go on the air and I put on my headphones. And right before I put on my headphones, it sounded like, Let me hear this. Right by my ear, I heard.
I'm being scared,
Yeah.
Roger. Just put your headphones
heard-
on.
I-
Four guys versus one ghost,
There's
bro.
people out there talking on this side.
Well, for those of you that didn't hear it, I heard pages
flipping.
Like
yeah.
someone was behind me with a book and
Shit,
flipping
bro.
all the pages.
Recio,
Yeah, I just heard it
Oh,
right
man.
behind me. And I'm like, what was that? And then I took my headphones off and I heard a cough down the hall. And I'm like, forget it, bro. I'm
outta
out. Like,
here.
I'm done.
Peace.
And then
Fucking
this-
Yeah. No, I called my girlfriend at the time and I'm like, you want to come hang out tonight? Like, come hang out.
Straight up.
And she's like, okay, I guess.
bring some breakfast tacos, well, yeah.
Yeah.
God damn, dude, that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Are you tripping or what?
Oh,
no,
dude, I just heard all these random ass sounds.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
know that's
dude.
like-
So sometimes you bring it upon yourself. I was watching.
You're gonna
so
get haunted tonight.
One
dude, for sure. They're
one
gonna play you
afternoon.
covered. Fuck.
One afternoon, I was watching Paranormal Activity.
Oh,
But I'm watching it on the internet, and a friend of mine. We were in the studio. I was doing a shift, and so I just went straight to all the videotape parts. I didn't do the in between parts. Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, this is a great house. No. I went always to the night vision mode.
Yeah.
So I saw the whole Paranormal Activity in just night vision mode, straight up to the possessions, right? And so I'm there, and I'm like, That movie really scared me.
Same.
So I go home to my apartment, and again I call my girlfriend. This is not my current wife, and I'm like, come hang out. Like I don't want to be alone tonight. Like I don't want come hang out. Come sleep over. It's not even a weird thing. It's just come sleep over, right? So I'm in bed. She's in bed. We're in bed, and I always since she has she would bring the kids over. I would leave the bathroom light on. There's a bathroom in the hallway, and I would leave my door open, and I would leave their door open. So there's always a light. If you need to go to the bathroom, the light's on. So it's like 3:30 in the morning, and I don't know what. Just woke up.
The hour, man.
Just woke up. I woke up, and I'm like, man, why am I awake? Rewind to Sunday. I had a pair of khakis. Right, and I always have a hook on my door, like the hooks where you can hang your clothes for the next day or something that you're gonna wear it later. Yeah. So I had some khakis that I had put on Sunday. Went to mass, went to church, and I don't always use those khakis. So I said they're clean. I wore them for an hour to go to mass. I'm gonna leave them here on the hook. So they were there since Sunday. This is Wednesday night. Wednesday going into Thursday. They've been hanging on that hook since Sunday. I wake up at 3:30. I don't even have to go to the bathroom. I don't know why I woke up. I just woke up. I looked towards the bathroom. I'm like, man, maybe I should get up. Maybe I should just go to the bathroom just in case, because I don't want to wake up later and have to go to the bathroom. So I look at the bathroom, and as I'm looking at the bathroom, the khakis fall off the hook.
Damn. I thought you were about to tell me your girlfriend was out.
I had the khakis on. What the fuck?
Yeah, somebody put the khakis on.
He saw the fucking khakis walking across
the khakis are like bugle boy.
I remember getting.
I'm sorry.
No, but you gotta understand, they were on the hook for like the past 3 nights. Out of all the times for the khakis to fall off, why couldn't it have fallen when I was asleep? Why couldn't it have fallen off when I was at work?
I think that hurricane warning is crazy, and that one that you said about the Pope is insane. Man. And then also, like, why do you wake up and stuff happens?
Yeah, like
I wanted to ask you guys, what's y'all's opinion on that thing that like the Exorcist like caused a bunch of people to like run out of the theater and shit like that? Was it? You think it was just like the satanic panic, or
it's 100%, but it's also like it's just
all mental, right?
It's all it's really unsettling. Like I was just about to tell a story about me going to go watch Hereditary and then going home to like my haunted ass house.
Man, which one's that one, dude? Did Midsummer,
which is Hereditary?
Yes. Oh man, that guy's so weird.
Oh yeah, the one where I
told you to watch it
or whatever the hell thing.
Yeah.
Does it drag like Midsummer?
That was insane.
No,
oh, you haven't seen
pretty
it?
Good.
Midsummer drags.
Midsummer was not out of both of them.
It was cinematically, it was very, very nice, but like the story wise, I guess it did drag a bit.
Yeah.
Did you watch Batman?
I did.
All right.
I did. Maybe I'm biased because I love Batman.
I love Batman.
He was going to tell us about the theater.
Dude.
We're gonna do Batcast, but not.
Oh yeah. I thought you already did Batcast.
We're gonna redo it.
Okay, awesome.
Because it wasn't. Yeah, well, because you weren't there.
Yeah, I thought it happened. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, dude.
And I got here like at 7, and I was gonna message you guys, but it said Joshua's things were notified. Notifications were silent, and I was like,
he puts his phone on Do Not Disturb for anything.
That's not true. I mean, I do it while we're doing shit.
Is it on Do Not Disturb right now?
Yeah, probably.
It's all the time, dude.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no, but
it stays that way. Anyway, well, yeah, I got home from watching Hereditary, which is a very scary movie.
It's really good.
I mean, I think it's one of the best modern horrors. I mean, if not the best modern horror,
for sure.
But I got home to a place where I used to live, which was
haunted as fuck,
awful. Yeah, and the whole time I'm like feeling really unsettled, and like I had just gotten,
because it stays with you.
Yeah, it stays with me. And like there was one time, well, I went to go watch Hereditary, and I just went to bed like, immediately afterwards, and it was not a good idea. But
I always watch Care Bears right before I go to bed.
I should have like done something, like seen, like, I don't know, like I watch video game stuff, whatever. Right? No, I woke up at the time, as you do, right? I woke up at that time, and I had a box, like one of the like a it was a TV. I had gotten a new TV, I had it mounted and everything, whatever, and I had left the box there so I could throw all the trash and stuff, right? And I had left the box there, so when I went in, I just I took a quick shower, brushed my teeth, went to bed. I wake up at like 3. And I noticed like the light on from the hallway, right? So like I can see like the light like coming in from like the crack in the door and stuff. And it's whatever. Like normally we'll leave the light on in the hallway or the light on in the kitchen. And at that time it was just me and my other roommate Sam, who was who was living there, and
name.
she was
No relation.
Yeah.
She wasn't there because she was visiting her boyfriend for the weekend. So I was like by myself, and I just remember thinking, I left the light off. Like there's, so I got that really uneasy feeling after,
man.
and just staring at the hall, like not the hall, but like my entrance to the room, it was like a little like corridor kind of thing, right? And I just saw.
So you can't see what's going on out there because you're just
No, I have the door closed.
It's obstructed view.
Yeah, I have the door closed, so I just see the edge of the box, and so I'm like okay, like whatever, right? I just start trying to fall back asleep, and I turn on my TV and put something on YouTube, like just so do that. But then I hear like something just like something drag across the floor. And my dog gets up and he just like immediately is just like staring like at the door, and I'm like, "Don't do that, dude! Like just ignore it. Like, just ignore it."
Yeah.
And then I like with my own eyes, I just see it go like it moves and then it falls over, and I was like, "What the fuck pushed it?" Like because I saw it move, and
what fell?
It was the carton, the for the
TV
box,
box.
the TV box.
Oh,
So
man.
it was in that hallway, and it moved out and then flopped over. And I was just like, yeah, no. And I ended up staying up, and I didn't have anyone to call over at that time.
Oh,
so it was
no.
just kind of, but I was just like, I ended up
His
staying up.
dog's
that
name
long.
is Ghost.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
dog's name is Ghost. But and so, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in that place, but we've told it way too many times in the past couple of episodes too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hereditary with that, not fun.
So yeah, dude, no, it's. Oh, man, I have another one for you. You guys want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really bad. Again, the subconscious is a very powerful thing. So if you have that deep, dark fear,
Dude, I go to sleep hearing La Mano Peluda.
dude,
Like I put it all the
I've heard
time.
about that,
I
yeah.
always
Talk
put
about
it
fire radio
all the
shows.
time.
That's a
yeah,
fucking good one.
That guy's it.
I've heard
That-
about
that
it.
guy's
So
awesome.
I'm this is one of the things, and I think maybe subconsciously. So I talk about this with my co-host Elsa on 107.3. That somehow I stopped feeling fear. Like I get scared, but I never look scared. Like shout out to my friends out at Fear. Edgar said they filmed me once as I was walking through the haunted house, and that I never had. Like I was scared in there, but I never have a reaction. So I think it's because of the fact that if you let fear in, your subconscious will literally open doors that it shouldn't. And so one night I'm watching this documentary, and I think it was, I don't remember the name of the thing word for word, so don't get mad at me if you don't find it. And it was on Netflix, and it's not on Netflix anymore. It was called Slave to the Devil. And it was a documentary about a priest that used to be a priest, but he wasn't a priest anymore, but he would still perform exorcisms. He had a friend that was a cop, and the cop would contact them.
There was a movie made off of that too, right?
I think so, but so
talking about Constantine?
No, something else. So the cop would whenever he would do a visit and he realized these people aren't crazy, there's something else going on, he'd call the priest, and the priest would go and pay a visit, and most of the time he would perform an exorcism. Vatican wasn't down with it because he wasn't part of the Vatican anymore. He wasn't part of the church anymore. So they're like, whatever. There's a story about him still doing this, him still visiting people, whatever. Long story short, at the end of the thing, however it happens, the priest dies. But he makes a phone call right before he dies, and he tells his friend, this, and this.
Do they play the audio from that phone call on the thing?
They don't play the audio, but the guy says,
this is what he told me.
he says what he told me was, I've had a terrible fall. It seems that I've upset our friend Scratch a little too much. That's what he called him. And he says, I don't know if I'll make it, but just letting you know. So he hauls ass over to his, I guess, condo, apartment, whatever, and he finds him, and he was passed out on his library, and like he hurt himself. But he didn't, like, you don't know exactly, but he said that on the phone call. Whatever. And then at the end, there's a recording where, I don't know. I'm not even going to.
That scared me.
I'm not even going to repeat what the priest said, because the priest said something that one of those truth bombs that you don't want to hear. He gave a truth bomb. That was the last audio that plays in the documentary.
I want to hear that.
Yeah,
tell us.
because I want you to see it. I don't want to ruin. I don't want
right.
to. I don't want to. But he just says something, and it's like a little bit of like wisdom, but it's the wisdom where like you don't want to hear that wisdom. Like, oh no. Wow, right? So that happens, and so and it's the night right before it's night right before the WBC Grand Parade a couple years ago. So I have to get up early. So I get up early, and it's like maybe 5 a.m., right? And everyone's asleep in the house. My kids are asleep. My wife's asleep, and I'm getting out of the shower. I'm finishing up. Luckily I had just rinsed or whatever. Not that y'all need to know this, but I was about to be done, and the lights go off in the bathroom.
Pass. I'm out.
I'm out.
It's a murderer.
So the lights go off in the bathroom, and I'm thinking, oh man, what a time to lose power in the house. Like either I got to go check the breakers or something's going on. I got to call, the energy company, and I remember trying to find my footing and trying to get out of the bathtub. I don't want to slip in the dark, so I try to find my footing. I find the carpet. I reach along the wall, and then finally I get up to the door of the bathroom, and I switch the light on, and I start looking at my wife. And then I realized, well, the fan's running, right? The air conditioner's running. I just turned on the light.
Fuck.
I just turned the switch on in the toilet,
After
in the shower. My wife's asleep.
Oh,
My children are asleep.
Flick that bitch.
Somebody flicked the light switch off.
Yeah, I have a very similar story.
Same.
So
I know
so the light switch gets flicked off, and I'm like, at this point, it's where you feel that and I'm like, oh no. Yeah, all the goosebumps, everything, just like this is where you're gonna fall down on the floor in fear, or you're like, okay, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
I am a very faithful man. I'm very strong in my faith, so I'm like, I say my Hail Mary, and I'm like, what just happened? I look down, my religious calendar that's in the bathroom fell, and it turned the switch off. But of all the times, a few hours after I finished watching this documentary,
Fucking crazy.
So it stays with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh my God, it's close. No, man, you opened yourself up. Yeah. So yeah, man.
So and again, I've told this so much. I'm not gonna get into it, but just real quick, the place that I was previously living at, when I had first moved in, I had walk in, I had check something for the construction they were doing in my room. As I'm leaving, my roommates at the time, who I had already paid rent, but I couldn't live in the room because they were still doing construction. One of my roommates is like, hey, you don't want to stick around? I'm like, my room's not done. I'm not going to start moving stuff today. They're like, no, well, it's because we have paranormal investigators coming by later. And I was like, okay, I'm in
your brand new apartment that you haven't moved in yet. No, that's my pass.
So they had already told me that this
Phenomena.
this one thing that she was feeling, her and her boyfriend, that her boyfriend had taken notice specifically of her footsteps, because he had felt that they were very heavy because something had latched itself onto her, right? And it was following around. It was, they would have trouble sleeping, rattling doors, open up cabinets, that kind of stuff. But on one day, they're at the place, and the girl, she starts walking up the stairs.
Okay.
And as she's walking up the stairs, her boyfriend's behind her, and he stops to pay attention to her footsteps because, like I said, he was really mindful of it sounding off, right? She's a really tiny girl, super super small. So,
but heavy footsteps.
Yeah. So she's going up, and so she notices that he had stopped behind her, so she stops and she turns around to look at him, and the footsteps continued up past her. And that's when they were like, all right, let's go. They got out of there.
No.
She froze, and she was just she called his name, and he pulled her down, they left.
That's so fucking wild.
So the similar story that I had to that was I moved in 2 months later.
Dude.
And as we're,
was it downtown?
It's you know what it is? It's right next to Stoddard Park, and it was it was an old Pepsi warehouse. It was actually built in 1901, and so it was that whole the whole Chuck-Owen area, and I had moved in, and on one of the first nights we were staying there, it was me and my girlfriend at the time, and we were laying down in bed, whatever, with my dog, and we were knocked out. And it was that year where it was super cold, 2018. It had snowed.
Yeah.
And so I'm dead asleep, and I just feel a hey, someone nudging me, and I wake up and I'm like, what's up? And my girlfriend's like, it's super freaking cold. Why did you turn on the ceiling fan? And I'm like I didn't turn it on, but I'll turn it off. And she's like, please. And so I get up, and I start walking around towards like the switches of my room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my dog gets up and he also does the same thing. Like he gets up and he's
he
like
flexes.
staring towards the area, and I'm like, hey, all right. Like I just petted his head and I walk over, and as I'm walking over, like the ceiling fan when it's on, it makes that sound.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting towards the switch, and I hear the little tick, and then I hear it stops, and I just see it slows down, and I'm like watching it. I'm like, no fucking way, no way that just happened, right? So the girlfriend that I was the girl I was dating at the time, she's just like, thanks, and I'm like,
she didn't realize what happened.
No, and I'm like, yeah, no problem. I go and I feel the switch, and it was switched off, but the thing had just been on. There's no other switch in the room.
There's no way to mistake this.
So I go and I give it a couple flips, like maybe something was up, whatever. No, then it dawns on me that the lights are on out in the kitchen, in the living room again. And the only people that were home were me and the girl I was dating at the time, right? Because my other roommates had left to go see a Chicano Batman in San Antonio. Okay. And so we were like, I was like, hey, did you leave the lights on? She goes, no, just come back to bed. You're tripping or whatever, this and that. I couldn't go back to bed. So we go out. I go into the kitchen. We had like, it was a 2-story thing, so you could see like the little like kind of balcony hallway thing. And I go and I just get some water. I start turning off the lights, and my dog is like standing and staring straight up above me, like there's something. Like, and I get that feeling, right? And I'm like, and I turn around, I look up, nothing there. I start walking away, and then I hear again a super loud like slamming sound on that area. And so I'm like thinking like maybe somebody like is up there, or maybe something fell, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go check it out. I walk upstairs.
Fight or flight, bro.
I walk upstairs. My dog comes with me, stops halfway. And I'm like, oh, God. So I start walking up there. I peer into one room, right? I'm like knocking on the door, making sure nobody's there. Turn on the light. Nothing's fallen. Nothing's out of place. Close the door. I start walking towards the hallway, towards the other way, and the door's already open. And so I know, because the door's open, that like my roommate's not there, because if she's there, she'll close the door, right? It's super dark. I get my phone light. I just shine it, and I'm like, all right, that's good enough for me. I'm not going to walk in there. It's super dark. So I go, and I start walking down the stairs, and my dog is no longer looking at me. He's looking past me. So it's like that gaze of like, you know, like just staring past me. And and I start feeling that like really nasty feeling on the back of my neck. And then my dog, he does this. He gets down, and he starts growling. Right, and I'm like, no. I start walking, and I hear like another fall behind me, and I was out of there. Like, fuck that. I just went straight to my room, didn't investigate anymore. It's awful.
Dude,
yeah.
Crazy.
Go home, get out of there.
I don't live there anymore.
Jeez.
I don't live there anymore. But
countless scary stories that stem from that fucking old Pepsi factory, dude.
Old Laredo, dude. Old Laredo. There's a lot of ghosts in
used to
shout out to old Laredo, man.
Yeah. But it's about that time.
Yeah, it's definitely about that time.
It's about that time.
Anything you want to plug?
Please.
Well, you didn't say your CBD pen, where it was from.
Oh, no,
we were not actually.
Oh, got it. Just guys, check out Coffee and Magic on 107.3. Check out. You can follow me everywhere under Sammy the House. My co-host, she's great. She's awesome. You can follow her on Instagram under Life as Elsa. Again, 107.3, we're playing some really cool stuff. We're playing some classic hits. So check out the station when you get a chance. If you're interested in sponsoring my radio station or the Aliens on the Border, contact them or contact me, and you can always be a part of what we're doing as well.
You have an app?
I don't have an app, but you can come sing karaoke with me on Wednesdays and Thursdays at AJ's.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys. I love to sing, and I love for you guys to sing. So come by AJ's on a Wednesday. I'm usually there on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're gonna have a cool St. Patrick's Day party. Ooh, so nice. Yeah, come hang out with us on St. Patrick's. We're gonna give away some Alamo Draft House gift cards as well.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah. And then listen to 107.3 Coffee and Magic. Thanks for 30 years, everybody.
Yeah, hit that applause. Hit that applause.
Yeah, dude.
And thank you guys for having me. I've listened to the podcast, and I really enjoy you guys, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thanks you for being on, dude. It's a pleasure. I feel like it took longer than it should have, So we'll have you back on.
Okay.
And I meant it It took longer than it should have to get you on.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
And a quick shout out to, is it okay if we say hi to another podcast?
Yeah, for sure.
In the Flex podcast with Ovi and Miguel, I've done so if you want the origin story,
right on.
it's on that one.
Perfect.
There's an episode with me. The origin story's on there. I know we didn't get to it because
no.
That's true.
We're talking a lot. Yeah, but how I started when I was 12, the story's on the In the Flex podcast on that one. So check that one out.
Them.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
As always, follow us on Instagram at aotbcast. Our link tree's on there. You can find our Patreon. You can find our audio outlets, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast. Our website's coming soon, April the 1st. And this Thursday, there's a mic drop, right?
Yeah, so tomorrow, actually, Wednesday, March 16th, I'm going to be at Upstage Comedy Lounge in San Antonio. I'm going to be on an all Laredo lineup in San Antonio. Pretty excited about that.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna be up there repping Laredo. If you're watching from San Antonio, or if you got friends up in San Antonio, go and tell them to make it out and
show some love.
Show some love, and show these.
Where's it at again?
Upstage Comedy Lounge. It's the first black owned comedy club in San Antonio. I also have.
So you're gonna play at a black owned comedy club?
Yeah.
I picture that scene from Revenge of the Nerds when the Lambdas show up.
It's gonna be it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's gonna be a good show, a hell of a show. Thursday we have our mics as usual, open mic, the mic drop at Cultura Beer Garden. Friday we have a show. It's also another all locals lineup. We're really kicking it off with all local stuff. This one's gonna have Ivan Bautista. I'll be on it. Franny is going to be hosting. That's Francisco Flores. And then we've also got Eric Barra and... Oh, no, you know what? Esteban's going to be hosting. Then we've got Eric Barra and Esteban Gonzalez. So go and check that out. It's got a lot of other shows kind of coming up, too. So just, stay tuned in.
Franny was in that play with me.
Yes, he was. Yeah. That's where
play.
I got the whole Mr. the House thing from, because he has you saved in his contacts as Mr. the House. That was hilarious.
Again, making me feel old.
Also, shout out to Isaac and Ernie, our patrons that will have early access to this.
And thank you to Picasso for producing us.
Shout out Picasso.
I don't have anything, but if you see me in the streets, just follow me around. Just fucking follow me.
Yeah. See me in the streets.
Just follow me.
Where's he going?
No problem,
that
dude.
Pepsi building.
Hey, I'm all about making dreams come true. So can you read the weather for tomorrow, dude?
No.
Come on.
All right, dude. All right, bring it over here.
What are we expecting for Wednesday?
Hey, so today we're looking at a high of 85 with a low of 54. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're looking at 90 degrees, a very brisk 48. Feeling it. It's going to be a sunny Wednesday afternoon in Laredo, Texas. Thank you all very much.
Pro 8 News.
How much math went into that?
Come on, bro. Exactly.
Air quality, crazy.
You got bamboozled.
Keep that allergy medication on deck. Love you guys. Bye.
Hey, heat wave is goals. Heat wave is goals. The heat wave, we love you. Oh, you asked me for an app. I didn't even realize you can go look for 107.3 on the XHGTS app. You can look for the XHGTS app and check us out online. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks very much, everybody, for being tuned in. Thank you, Sammy the House. See y'all in the next one. Text your ex. Text her.
Oh, yeah, text your ex.
Just text her.
Tell her to subscribe.
Tell her, hey, this episode was really good. Bye. Love you.
That's fucking